X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time.
Can you see it? All the ones who drag my name every single day. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? They keep saying you don't have what it takes to carve out your own name underneath the shadows of gods. And I keep waiting for the day disbelievers say I flew way too close to the sun. I wait, but it never really comes. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. Why do they just stand there against when they fall from the battles I have overcome? You feel it, feel the cope and the seething tone that they make while I stand up, man among gods. And I keep vaping with my mill, shooting ropes in my cold that faces towards the sun. They hate, but I'm sitting comfy with their mom. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all that shackled mind. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. It's you and me, your mom, it's me. I'll take another hit from my name. You'll see now, watch me not now, punch your face now. Let me show you how.
Good evening, everybody. Hello, hello. God, my hair is a mess today. I really need a haircut. Bad, chat. I've been putting it off for way too long, but hey, it's so good to see all of you. Hey, Brud.WMV, Heavy Gretel, Coral Gaylord, Sheepish, Insert Creative User, it's probably M3, Holic Master, of course, the amazing creator of that song you guys just heard, The X in My Name. My official theme song, Not the Hero, good to see you. Am I gonna re-dye it? No, I just really need a haircut. I'll like re-bleach it and go for the white hair again. At 100,000 subs, probably. That feels reasonable. Yeah, you guys love that song. Say nice things to Holic Master and go send some support. You guys can do !song in the chat to get a link to the song on YouTube. What'd it do? Not much. Not bad. I'm just chilling. We're here. Hey Wingo, good to see you too. Good to see all of you. Welcome. Hey Lauren Walker and the Dark Canuck over on YouTube chat. T Smith. Saved my playlist. Based. First time catching a stream. I think the song was nice. Thank you, Night Wilds. I appreciate that. Today's stream's not gonna be like super insane, crazy drama or anything besides the GOP debate stuff. That's gonna be like pretty spicy. But I figured we ought to start right away. Right away-ish. Not right away, but right away-ish.
Your campaign's...
Whoa. There we go. Okay. There we go. Yes, I'm aware. I'm going to be covering it. It's in the title of the stream. Guys. Guys, why are you telling me something that's in the title of the stream as if I don't know? The stream title says Yevgeny Prigozhin game ended. I know. I scheduled the stream. I titled it that. I know he is. Yeah, but did I hear what happened to Technoblade? Have I heard? I didn't read the title. All the topics are in the title. Are you gonna do what you typed out in your title? Yeah, Holic Master. Yes. Yeah, we are. The title is accurate to what we're gonna be covering. I thought you had dementia. The closest thing I have to dementia is when I get really stoned on stream, which I'm about to do, and I forget what I was gonna say. Speaking of which... I am good. Woo! Oh, wow. Okay. That was a good hit. You see, that chat is why I don't do blinkers anymore. If you noticed the light on here, I didn't just hit it in all one big hit and let it blink out. I hit it for like 4 seconds, stopped and let it cool down, hit it for like another 3 seconds, stopped and let it cool down, and then hit it for like another 2 seconds, and then that was it. You get way more and less burning that way than if you just do blinkers back to back. It's way stronger than 2 back-to-back blinkers like what I used to do. So that's how I do it now. That's my advice to you. Oh yeah, I don't block Discord DMs. I just take a long time to reply to them. You want to be the first person to hit a double blinker in this... What? I don't understand what reference you're making. God. Whew. I'm gonna have to recover from that one. I'm prepping dinner for my BF and 2 foster kittens. Aww. Post the cats. I'm done with my dorm setup. Can I send you a pic for a review? Hell yeah, Pillow. Send me your setup, your streaming setup in your dorm. Did you see 2B2T is no longer an anarchy server, but a survival server? Yeah, that's actually the ramblings of insanely mad coping people, believe it or not. 2B2T is still an anarchy server as much as it has ever been. Nothing has changed. The only thing that changed was Housemaster did a soft economy reset and reduced a bunch of stacks of items down to 1 for the server update because the stored items were doing too much damage to the data of the server. The server had reached 24 terabytes in size. A large part of that was due to unedited but still loaded chunk trails from people elytra flying and from massive dupe stashes containing like literally terabytes of data worth of like, well, probably not terabytes per dupe stash, but up to 100 gigabytes per data of data per dupe stash. In fact, you can actually see this with certain add-ons. I have a hack client that lets me see how much data an item is worth. So for example, like if I have a dirt block and I hover over it, on the very bottom of its tooltip, it shows me like how much data that takes up on the server's memory, and it's like nothing. But a shulker box full of maxed out stacks of items in a filling up a double chest is a ton of data. And people have got dupe stashes that fill up those chunks, so the server literally couldn't update due to all that data overwhelming it. So Housemaster was forced to do a soft economy reset. People got really, really mad about it and are now melting down and trying to kill the server via, like, forced chargebacks on priority queue. Yeah. Most of the currently, like, active 2B2T community is now massively dunking on SalC1. And most of the people doing that are OG players, like people that were pre-2016. So the people who are mad are people like Sal, who joined post-2016. I've played on 2B longer than SalC1. You guys know that, right? He's not an old school player. Although, I'm talking all this shit, okay? I'm talking all this shit, when meanwhile... Let me make sure. Unless, oh, he might know what I said. Yeah, wait, what? Why doesn't it come up? That's so weird. What? That's so weird. Well, okay. So you guys know how, I used to be, like, on 2B pretty hardcore back in the day. Funnily enough, I have SalC1 friended on Discord. We've been Discord friends for, like, 5 years. I know I've been talking some pretty heavy shit, but I talk that shit from a place of love, okay? I've literally been Discord friends with SalC1 for 5 fucking years, okay? Yeah. God, my hair is a mess. I need to get a haircut, dude. Like, look at this. It's like in this weird state of being too long to keep kempt, but not long enough to look good. I know they wrapped up. That's actually the timing that I'm going for because I want to be able to pause it and commentate on it without you guys in chat going, stop pausing, it's live. So now that it's not live, I can pause it and commentate and you guys won't re. The mic peaking. You know, one of these days, I'm gonna hire, like, an audio expert, or, like, I'm gonna find, like, the most clouded up big streamer who's got their audio and video shit together to, like, come to my house and, like, show me how to set it up to be perfect, you know? I've learned a lot of it myself, and I think my stream is pretty decent quality for someone who's literally had to just figure all this stuff out and teach themselves how to do it, but it could definitely be better. It could definitely be better. One thing I'd like to do, in particular, is be able to invest a little more money than I initially did in my rebrand to Xanderhall from Pig Puncher, into new assets for my Xanderhall stuff, you know? I like what I have now, but I feel like with more money, I could potentially get, like, a dono bar down here that's, like, custom and you know, cool, and, like, occasional little pop-ups reminding people to like and subscribe and to follow my social medias, you know? Just little cool, high-quality animations and stuff. I will say, I think there's a lot of character my stream has as being more minimalist. Like, I do think that I find it really annoying when streamers feel the need to oversaturate their setup with too much stuff sometimes. Like, it works for some people. I think Cirrus, for example, pulls it off pretty well. I think Demon Mama can pull it off pretty well, especially when she's doing it ironically. But, like, I don't like when I see a stream and, like, their full screen, here's just me talking to chat screen, is, like, a tiny little box with them here, and then there's chat, and then, like, just a giant overstuffed overlay or something. Yeah. I don't like that. I definitely prefer that the decoration to the stream be what's on camera. My goal, once I've moved into my long-term house, is not to do so much decoration to the stream's layout, but to what's actually on camera. You'll notice that I try to make it so that I'm in a corner of the room, and I can set it up so that my camera captures the opposite corner as the central focus of the screen. The reason I do this is so as much of the room as possible is seen in view. I think it's nice that you guys can see my room. I think that's part of what makes the streams cool. I think the fact that you guys have this sort of, like, background of my bedroom kind of adds a lot of character to the stream. And so I try to give you a wide shot. And that's something I'll always do with my streams. I'm never going to have a blank background wall or, like, just some really bizarre green screen setup. I like that you're not staring into the camera and are off to the side. It makes the viewer feel like they're hanging out with you in a way. Yeah, okay, so this is something I don't like about Vosh's current streams. He set his camera up like this, where he looks up, kind of, actually, directly at his camera. Like, just when he's talking and when he's looking at the screen and everything. I feel like streamers always look better at a slight side profile like what I have now. I think this is very much ideal. Not to mention, at this angle, I'm looking at myself on OBS right now, so I can see what I look like while I talk, and where my eyes are is consistent, but it looks like it's towards you guys, but it's not at the camera, in a way, you know? It's not creepy. Unless I glance over at the camera, I feel like that has some extra oomph to it. You know, I don't know. I feel like more streamers should go for this angle. I like it. Yeah, I think Vosh started out like a little too far on that shit, where he was just like, his early streams were just sideways. Just 2D. And using a phone for chat. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, I remember that. Good times. The OG early politics, early breadtube times. All right, everybody. Listen, I just want to say, real quick, if you're watching right now and you want to send some financial support, it's always appreciated. Likes, or sorry, not likes, that's not financial support. Donos, subs, gifted subs, Prime subs and memberships, whatever you want to do in the form of any type of financial support is always appreciated. But if you can't afford it or you don't want to do that, you can always support me for completely free just by hitting that thumbs up button over on YouTube and subscribing and ringing the bell icon. Seriously, hitting the thumbs up button every time on all my content really does go a long way. You should also hit the thumbs up button on other content creators' content if you like them as well. Like, get into the habit of that. It really does help to support your favorite content creators, and it's what I do, and I think it's a good thing. Anyway, let's do our first segment of the day. Ugh. My hair's so poofy. Okay. You all know what to do when I say action, right? I'll check it out after. Thank you, Pillow. 3, 2, 1. Action. Well, the Republicans are not in a very good spot today, and considering the GOP debates are happening, well, happened literally today, just a couple hours ago, the fact that all of this is coming to light today as well is just not a good look for the entire party across the board, especially considering the fact that at least half of the GOP voter base and the actual establishment of the GOP has basically hitched themselves to the Trump train, never to get off. And because of that, it's sort of embarrassing when Donald Trump's continued legal trouble makes everyone else involved with him look just as bad, particularly because most of these people are literal co-conspirators with the crime that he's committed. This is a fantastic article, guys. Donald Trump indictment. Mugshots released of smiling Ellis, Giuliani, and Powell. That's right, guys. The mugshots have released. Jenna Ellis, a former attorney for Donald Trump, became the latest to surrender to authorities in Fulton County Wednesday as part of the sweeping racketeering indictment accusing the former president and associates of attempting to subvert the 2020 election. Isn't it crazy how many of Trump's lawyers have gone to prison? Her consent bond order, filed Tuesday, is $100,000 in total. The bond amount for the count of violation of Georgia's RICO Act is $75,000, and the amount for the count of solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer is $25,000. Let's take a look at these mugshots. Look at that. Oh, you guys can't see it. Hold on. Oh, you guys just see 2B. Hold on. I have to... Can I... Am I able to, like... You know what would be even better? If I could just do... Display capture. Screen 2. Well, that's the wrong screen. That's chat. That's you guys. We want to do that monitor. And then move you guys all the way down here. Yeah. And then I can get rid of that, and we're all good. See, now I've got, like, everything set up for normal segments, and when I have a game up, I can, I can do the thing that I did last night, where, for me, the video's pretty small and not in my way, but for you guys, the video can be blown up as big as I want to make it, as big as you guys prefer it to be. So it's all set up. Was that Minecraft? Yes, because we're going to be getting on 2B later on, don't worry. Anyway, this is it. The mugshots. There's Giuliani. I believe this is Powell. And I forget what the other lady's name is. I'm sorry, there's a lot of old white people that are sort of implicated with Donald Trump, and they all look the same to me. I'm sorry. It's not racist, it's just a fact. Okay. Ellis became the 9th of 19 defendants to surrender after District Attorney Fani Willis's sweeping indictment last week, and Trump has said he will surrender Thursday. Along with Ellis's surrender came a mugshot of her with a cheery smile, wearing rose-colored lipstick with a black blazer jacket. Other mugshots of defendants were released on Wednesday, including former Trump attorney Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani. For those that don't know, Rudy Giuliani was basically Donald Trump's, not primary fixer, not like his primary mob fixer type guy, but definitely a pretty high rung on the totem pole. And also, really powerful as a politician, so it's really scary. Giuliani is facing 13 felony charges, including violating Georgia's Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, soliciting a violation of oath by a public officer, and giving false statements. Powell is facing 7 felony charges, including violations of the RICO Act, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit election fraud, conspiracy to commit computer theft, conspiracy to commit computer trespass, conspiracy to commit computer invasion of privacy, and conspiracy to defraud the state. Christ. These are some pretty serious charges, guys. I'm so worried about everybody but Trump going down, though, because that's always how it has been up to this point. But to be fair, this is the worst it's ever been for him, so if anything's going to take him down, this would be it. Earlier in the day, attorneys Kenneth Cheesebro, I don't care how it's actually pronounced, it's Cheesebro. Kenneth Cheesebro and Ray Smith III also surrendered to authorities and had their booking photos posted. Along with allegedly violating the RICO Act, Cheesebro faces 6 conspiracy-related counts, including forgery in the first degree and filing false documents. Smith, who is a lawyer at the firm Smith and Liss, advised alternate GOP electors who met at the Georgia Capitol building and signed documents claiming Trump had won despite his loss in the state. He faces charges including racketeering, conspiracy, soliciting a violation of oath of office by a public official, and making false statements, and was released on a $50,000 bond. So they got out on bond. But for those that don't know, these charges are basically centered around the people who tried to, like, bully state officials into using whatever power they have to overturn the election. And in many cases, they would threaten those that wouldn't. So, good stuff. On Tuesday, former Trump attorney John Eastman and bail bondsman Scott Hall became the first 2 defendants to turn themselves in to authorities. David Schaefer got a bail bondsman too? Jesus, everyone involved with Trump is going down with him. David Schaefer, the former head of the Georgia GOP, who helped create a meeting of alternate electors, also surrendered. Alternate electors, Jesus. Nearly all 19 defendants have been heard from by Wednesday afternoon, while a handful, including Harrison Floyd, not Ford, like my brain wanted to make me read, and Trevian Kuti, 2 defendants alleged of pressuring local election officials to alter the results of the 2020 election, have yet to sign a bond order. Trump is expected to turn himself in Thursday evening and had his bond set at $200,000 on Monday. Wow. It's insane to me that none of these people have tried to leave the country. Well, I don't think anyone's gonna let them. You know, and that's the Trump train, guys. Like, if you think this doesn't make the whole GOP look bad, roughly half the, the other half the GOP roughly is behind DeSantis. And, well, this clip went viral online today of Ron DeSantis, and the overall consensus of the clip is he okay?
Your campaign said the other day that the knives are out for you at that debate. I got to ask you about that. Plus, I got to ask you, I know it's not your campaign, but Never Back Down put out a memo that people are talking about. So I'd like to get your reaction to both.
He looks like he looks like a greasy gremlin, like a greasy little goblin. Trust me, when you watch the debate, he is not okay. He's so done. I'm excited to see the GOP debate. I really am.
Well, on the memo, it's not mine. I haven't read it, and it's just, I think it's something that we haven't put off to the side. But in terms of the debate, look, I know from the military, when you're over the target, that's when you're taking flak. And if you look really in the last 6 to 9 months, I've been more attacked than anybody else. Biden, Harris, the media, the left, other Republican candidates, and there's a reason for that because people know.
God, there's something wrong with him. Look at his eyes. No, I seriously need you guys to pay attention to his eyes the whole time. There's something inhuman going on here. Like, I need you to look at his face. I need you to... Like a dead fish. Oh my god, hold on. I know exactly... Yes. 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 Behold. Brothers. True and real and facts, and I did not make that up.
I think it's something that we haven't put off to the side. But in terms of the debate, look, I know from the military, when you're over the target, that's when you're taking flak. And if you look really in the last 6 to 9 months, I've been more attacked than anybody else. Biden, Harris, the media, the left, other Republican candidates, and there's a reason for that because people know that I'm the biggest threat. So we view it as positive feedback. We'll be ready to do what we need to do to deliver our message, but we absolutely expect that and we'll be ready for it.
And that means punching back.
It means yes, it means defending ourselves, but more importantly, showing why we
He can't like break the civility politics. He's trying to do this like soccer coach dad kind of like rudeness and competitiveness with the other. Yeah, he does kind of remind me of Homelander here a bit. He's trying to do this like soccer coach dad, like being rude to the other team, but they're all 10-year-olds. So you're just kind of like, oh yeah, Busters, my team's gonna get you, like that kind of thing. And even the media are asking, so you're gonna punch back? And he's like, oh, we're gonna defend ourselves. It's like, nah, Donald Trump would say he's gonna like wrench open the mouths of the other Republican candidates and shit down their throats, dude. Like, you got to get down and dirty with these people. That's what they want. Republican voters are like not the best of people. They want you to just be as crass and rude and awful as possible, and they will literally build a cult around you. But he just doesn't have the charisma to do it. He's like Homelander, but not in a world where he's not even like Homelander, because Homelander has followers and is like well liked, and his shtick works on people. Republican voters want professional wrestling energy. Yeah, they want WWE energy. It's why they like Trump so much. They don't have any stakes in politics. It's all a game to them. It's all like it's all make believe. It's pretend to them. That's why they want it to be as much like WWE as possible. Yeah, it's like he's trying to dodge TOS violations IRL. So real. God. The Republicans are not looking good today. I am so excited to watch this debate. I really, really am. So that was a shorter segment. I feel like it was a necessary one before we get into the next two, and particularly before I watched the debate for the first time. So what do you guys think of that one? I feel like it was a nice little segment. Especially because we got to see those mugshots. Hey, you were in the new Cosmonaut Quickie video about Spider-Man Lotus? Really? I know that channel. That's a familiar name. Oh boy. Let's see. Spider-Man Lotus, a film born from spite, and it's called the worst film ever made in the thumbnail. I did dunk on this a little bit. Not really dunked. I mostly just kind of covered the drama, you know? Gah, 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 You've lied to me. I'm not in here. Oh, well maybe, no. I feel like if I was anywhere in here, I'd be in like this opening bit, you know? 2x speed. First few minutes, you got, oh, I saw myself. Okay. All right.
Fan film. Plus, the director of the current Spider-Man movies and Andrew Garfield apparently also said it looks pretty cool. Let me go ahead and see what people are saying about this movie.
Spider-Man. How? I'm the first one? Dog, holy shit. God, I really do need a haircut. Like, my fucking hair looks awful, dude. It's just getting too out of control. Lotus, racist allegations.
There's also the star of Spider-Man Lotus, Spider-Man, aka Warden Wayne.
To show his messages, he dropped like N-bombs. It wasn't just once, like it was.
Hot damn. Yeah, I'm climbing the social ladder. Does this mean the Cosmonaut Variety Hour knows who I am? Because I've been subbed to that channel for a hot minute. That's for sure. That's a long time, like, household brand name kind of YouTube channel, you know? It's just kind of always been there. Kind of always been around. Oh yeah, no, I've watched the channel for a while. I feel special because I told you to make that video. Hehe. That was you, Cherry. That was in fact you. That was you, big brain. That is definitely up. That was you. Thank you. I will take my daily brownie points. Nice. All right, guys. One moment.
Putin's biggest enemy appears to...
No! Okay, well, you got spoiled. You got spoiled. You got spoiled, chat. It's Jover. It's Jibbity Jover, chat. It's Jover. No, it's so Jover now. Alright, hold on a sec. Nice. Yeah. How's that look, chat? Is that clean or what? Is that clean or what? Zan, setup first? Oh yeah, let me check out your setup. Hold on. Let's check it out. Oh, I gotta check something. Sorry, okay. I was checking to see. Something having to do with, okay. Ooh. Oh, holy shit. Dude. Dude, that actually is a clean setup. Especially with the lighting. That is arguably, well, it's definitely not better than my setup hardware-wise. But just sort of aesthetically, I would actually argue this is better than my setup. Yeah, I'll let you guys see. Hold on. Like, I'd actually argue that, this is more cozy. And probably even more comfortable to stream at. Yeah, my current setup is, like, beyond scuffed. It's very temporary, though. Yeah, I like the episode of Adventure Time you've got up there. I've been thinking, since the Fiona and Cake show premieres at the end of this month, maybe after stream and over the next couple days, or few days, maybe I should do some watch parties, particularly with my friend Balthazar, who's not seen the show, of Adventure Time in the Discord server. I have HBO Max, so I have all the show and all the specials to try to binge watch it, which wouldn't be hard. Each episode's 11 minutes. in preparation for the Fiona and Cake show premiere. You want to watch cute cartoon watch parties? Yeah, do you want to join? Pog. I will absolutely join for that. Let's go, a pillow. Yeah, would you guys be down for... Here, let me... Here. We might do it tonight. If I have the energy, let me message Beth. So I sent Balth in all caps. Yo, new Adventure Time show starts at the end of this month. We gotta binge the show and the movies in the server. Chat wants it. We have less than 2 weeks. Oh. Dog, we're gonna be on some degen shit. What is the entire runtime of Adventure Time? What is the entire runtime of Adventure Time? Just over 34 hours. Okay. That is 3 extended edition Lord of the Rings marathons. That's light work. That's light work for me. I can do that in less than 2 weeks, chat. We can do that, I think. I think we can do that. Adventure Time is gay? Oh, yeah, it is extremely gay. Yeah. Yeah, no shit. There's literally a character that's like a rainbow. It's the gayest shit there is. It's also, simultaneously, somehow, the straightest shit there is. That's why everyone loves it. It struck the perfect balance, somehow, between the straightest shit ever and the gayest shit ever. It's perfect. Okay. Alright. 1 second. Alright, chat. Make sure my chords aren't showing. No chords, no chords. Good, no chords showing. Good. Just making sure. Very good. Alright, let me kill this fucking thing really fast. Annoying little fucker. Okay. Alright, I'm going to explain what I'm doing on 2B today while I'm doing these segments and reacting to the debates, and then we're going to do that, okay? Wait, what? There we go. Okay, so basically, as you can see, I am in a water temple not far from my base. I've actually got another one that I've found not too far from my base as well. Or my base, it's a temporary outpost. And, no. I am not going to be remodeling this into an ocean base. That is derivative and gay. Instead, what I'm doing is harvesting all of the different prismarine and sorting it into my different shulkers. This one's for the lanterns and sponge. This one's for the bricks. And I'm going to be bringing them back in shulkerfuls, flying them back to my base and storing them in double chests so I can hoard up the materials I need for my sea base when I make it. The same goes for coral. I'm going to be hoarding up shit tons of coral. We're going to have to fly around and look for coral reefs and just, like, demolish them effectively with Silk Touch. And then we're going to build... But we'll be replanting it whenever we build our underwater city. I just want the underwater city to be built within a coral reef. So once the underwater city is built, then we build the coral around it, and we build sort of a custom environment. It's going to be awesome. But we are not going to have it be a modified ocean temple. That is derivative and stupid, as I said before. So I'm just going to be gathering shit tons of prismarine and fighting guardians. Hopefully the game's not too loud, right? Yeah, I've got the game volume pretty minimal. I'm going to turn up the game volume ever so slightly. That's too loud. I think. Yeah, I think that's good, where it's just barely audible, because I kind of want the game audio to contribute a bit to distorting the bot's ability to maybe strike me for the debates later on. Thoughts on anarchism? I'm playing on an anarchy server. What do you think, Mr. Nibiru? All right. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. So some big news happened today, and I genuinely can't say it surprised me. So I don't know if you guys have been watching a lot of my foreign policy content, but I have been getting into more like worldly affairs type politics stuff lately. And one of the topics that's involved is Ukraine, and discussing the war between Ukraine and Russia. Though I should more so frame it as the immoral and illegal invasion of Ukraine by Russia in an attempt to annex their land against the people's wishes. Now, recently, I had someone who is much more of an expert than I on stream to talk about this in much more detail. The person in question is Dylan Burns. You may know him as, I don't know if he currently holds this record because the way time works, but for a while he was known as the youngest foreign policy advisor in America, and he was a foreign policy advisor for the Gravel campaign. And he got really big on Twitch, and he does debates and stuff, but more recently, he's spent a lot of time in Ukraine volunteering with humanitarian groups to help save anything, just basically whether it be just doing journalism to document war crimes being committed by Russia, helping animals that have been saved in, for example, a town that was flooded by a nearby dam that was blown up. Things like this. Dylan's been doing some awesome stuff, and I had him on stream recently to discuss this because he's much more of an expert than I. And he basically explained the issue with the Wagner coup that happened recently. You see, Russia has a private military group. Well, I wouldn't say it's actually not, it's not really a private military group in the way that you imagine an American, contracted PMC. It is, in fact, beholden to the Russian government, and they are answering to Putin. However, they're not part of the Russian military in the same way. And the way that they are hired, for the most part, for lack of a better term, is really interesting. So the Wagner Group are, for the most part, ex-prisoners. See, Russia has, like, a very violent and very, like, fucked up prison culture. And some of the meanest and baddest guys from these Russian prisons are the ones that Putin went to bring into the Wagner Group. Because he saw, like, these violent criminals as, like, the perfect people to send off to invade a foreign country. Like, why not? They're perfect for that, right? Perfect decision from his perspective. Now, the Wagner Group is brutal and awful even by Russian soldier standards. To give you an idea, something they've become quite known for is deserters and people they consider to be traitors. They will kill with sledgehammers. Their favorite go-to execution method is beating people to death with sledgehammers. That's what they like to do. And their leader is a guy named Yevgeny Prigozhin. It's a really difficult to spell and pronounce Russian name, but I think I got it perfect there. And this guy is a real piece of work. Now, for a while, he was actually being praised by Putin, the Russian media, and even Putin's, like, oligarchical administration, quote-unquote, for lack of a better term, as, this hero who was marching into Ukraine and liberating it from the from Zelensky and whatnot. But oh shit. But as the coup happened, Prigozhin basically just betrayed the entire propaganda wave for Putin. He basically said, yeah, no, this entire invasion's a sham, Putin's lying to you, and basically was just proclaiming to Russia that all of the propaganda they'd been getting fed about the invasion was bullshit, which did not make Putin, 1, look very good, and 2, look very strong. Both very bad things for Putin. He needs to look strong and he needs to look good. Those are, like, one of those two things needs to be true at all times. So, yeah, Putin's in a pretty tough position right now. Or was in a pretty tough position. And when I talked to Dylan, I brought up the idea that, like, so Prigozhin's, like, a dead man walking, right? Like Putin's gonna kill him. And Dylan was like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Well, I think he just didn't want to make any speculative claims, but, I mean, this is not very out of, this is not very, what's happened is not very out of character for Putin. So, Yevgeny Prigozhin, I apologize, his jet, his plane, just today, was shot down over Russian soil and crashed and just fell and crashed in a fiery, smoldering explosion of wreckage. He is pretty much confirmed dead at this point. My understanding is that he'd actually been on the run in a different country, or not on the run necessarily, but sort of seeking asylum, for lack of a better term, in a different country, right? In order to stay away from Putin for a while. But Putin kind of fake played nice with him, and now he's dead. He was in Africa like a week ago. Yeah, he'd kind of exiled himself. Yeah, thank you, Apillo. He was hiding out in Belarus, exactly. Oh yeah, for the record, by the way, the Wagner Group has, like, their hands all over the fucking world. They're in Africa primarily, quite significantly. They have a lot of, I believe what Dylan explained to me was that, let's say there are some, like, hostile to Russia or not Russia forces that control, like, a diamond or an emerald mine or something in Africa. If the Wagner Group goes in and takes it, then they, as an institution, get, like, a 30% split of the profits from that mine, or say if it's like an oil field or just some shit like that. It's mostly in Africa, yeah. So they are very much, they have a monetary incentive to engage in as much conquering in the name of Russia, mostly in Africa, as possible. It's pretty fucked up. It's a more recent thing that they are doing their horrible shit in Ukraine. So yeah, they've gotten a lot more in the attention of the world since the invasion, you know? Yay, I am drowning. Anyway, I've got a news video here from CNN that actually goes into the details about this whole plane crash and everything. I actually don't know anything about it. I've neglected looking into it because I don't want to spoil myself on any of the info before giving my thoughts on it live on stream, so let's just start the video and find out what the hell happened.
Putin's biggest enemy appears to have been eliminated. Yevgeny Prigozhin, who led...
Who could have guessed this? Who could have ever seen something like this coming?
The attempted coup back in June is now dead after the jet that he was flying in crashed, according to a group linked to the Wagner Group. This is video of Prigozhin's plane. You see it here falling out of the sky, minus one of its wings.
Damn.
A large trail of smoke billowing behind it. There were 9 other people on board that jet, which was at a cruise altitude of 28,000 feet before it disappeared from radar. Video from the ground showing the jet's debris burning. So far, no word on what caused the plane, which was traveling from Moscow to St. Petersburg, to go down. But U.S. intelligence is now most likely trying to determine if there was an explosion inside of the plane or if there was a flash on the ground, which could suggest that it was hit by a missile. So far, Putin is not commenting on the crash. We have a lot to get to tonight. I want to start with Fred Pleitgen.
So what do you think Putin's denial that he did this is going to be like? Because he's not going to outright state that he did this and this is what happens to those who dissent against him. He's going to pretend like this is a freak accident. You know, every political, opponent of Putin just happens to die from freak accidents. It just keeps happening. He's just not going to say anything. He probably doesn't have to, you know? Like, the media is not free there. It's very much not free. So, like, he just won't be questioned on it if he doesn't want to be questioned on it. He'll just not allow himself to be in an environment where he's speaking to press that can ask him those questions. He could just straight up not even bother lying and just not say anything at all. That would be very... That would be Giga Chad of him, frankly. That would be quite Giga Chad of Putin to do, frankly. And I only say that because, you know, let's be real, Prigozhin definitely deserved to die.
Fred, what more are you learning about the crash that is said to have killed this leader of the Wagner Group?
Hi there, Brianna. Well, the Russians are saying that the investigators that are on the scene there are actually still working and trying to gather evidence. They say that they're looking at multiple scenarios as to what might have happened to the plane, including mechanical error, but of course also, as they put it, tampering with the aircraft as well. And of course, it's no secret that Yevgeny Prigozhin more than fell out of favor with Vladimir Putin. In fact, Vladimir
tampering.
Putin
I thought they would have shot it down.
The actions of Prigozhin treasonous. Now, of course, right now it's unclear what exactly happened to the plane, who was behind it, but there are very few who believe that it could have been an accident. Here's what we're learning.
Of course it wasn't
Probably
an accident.
The last moments of
Who
Wagner
thinks it
boss
was an
Yevgeny
accident?
Prigozhin. This jet, an Embraer Legacy 600, seen falling from the sky, a wing appearing to be missing. Russian authorities confirming Prigozhin was on board the aircraft. CNN is unable to confirm the authenticity of this video, but RIA Novosti claimed it was the moment that an Embraer jet fell from the sky in the Tver region north of Moscow. Flight data shows the plane traveling from Moscow on a heading to St. Petersburg before it suddenly stops transmitting. Russian media say 10 people were on board, all of them believed dead, and that Prigozhin's name was also on the passenger manifest. The Wagner mercenary group fought bitterly.
Dude, how crazy of a development would it be if it turned out he wasn't on the plane? Like, what if it turned out he just had a bad feeling about getting on that plane and he didn't get on board? And he found out that like, what happened, and now he's, like, in hiding, and he's allowing Putin to think he's dead. And then eventually we find out that he's not dead. How crazy would that be, dude? Yeah, it was a body double. That'd be wild. That'd be crazy.
In Ukraine, notably in Bakhmut, gaining some territory, but also incurring heavy losses. Prigozhin ripping into Russia's defense minister and his top general, accusing them of withholding ammo, leading to further deaths of his fighters.
You think you are the masters of this life? You think you can dispose of other lives? You think because you have warehouses full of ammunition that you have that right?
In late June, Prigozhin went a step further, launching a rebellion he said aimed to unseat
This is when they were marching
leadership
tanks to Moscow.
Prigozhin finally relented,
Marching and rolling
Wagner's
tanks to
troops
Moscow.
were ordered to Belarus, but days later, Putin took aim at Prigozhin himself.
We will protect our people and our statehood from any threats, including treason from the inside. What we're facing now is treason. Unreasonable ambitions and personal interests led to treachery, state treason, and betrayal of our people.
World reaction to the latest news has been swift and blunt.
There's not much that happens when Russia and Putin.
Dude, I fucking love Biden. Oh, that's perfect. That's Biden today. That's Biden on the day of the GOP debate, dressed in all blue, wearing sunglasses and a blue baseball cap, drinking a milkshake. Probably an ice cream milkshake, because we know how much he loves his ice cream. I love him. Hashtag my president.
No comment from the Russian president tonight. He held a moment of silence, but for Soviet soldiers killed in World War II in Kursk, as the debris of the plane carrying what was one of his most important fighters burns in a field north of Russia's capital.
And that continues to be the case, Brianna. Absolutely nothing official from Vladimir Putin tonight. But I think one of the important things that we need to point out is that while Yevgeny Prigozhin was most probably killed on that plane, so was pretty much the entire senior leadership of the Wagner private military company. It's pretty much a complete decapitation of that organization, including their top military commander, Dmitry Utkin, who actually came up with the name Wagner and who's played a huge role for that organization in Syria, in Africa, and in Ukraine as well.
Oh yeah, they're big
people
in
I'm
Syria
speaking to
too.
in Russia say if that company survives, it will be a completely different organization, Brianna.
Yeah, such a good point. Fred Pleitgen, thank you for that report. Out front now, Christo Grozev, lead Russia investigator at Bellingcat.
Isn't it crazy how, like, the Russian apologists have had to go from there's not going to be, you know, we can use Hassan as a good example of the Russia apologists. I love how triggered you guys get. Yeah, like, they start out by saying there's not going to be an invasion. Russia's not going to invade. You liberals are just trying to warmonger and trying to raise panic and make people, you know, get drama clicks, yada, yada, yada. You're trying to get panic clicks. There's not going to be an invasion. It's just, I believe, the most popular talking point from Russian media outlets, which was, of course, peddled by Hassan, was the claim that they were just trainings. They were just doing, like, military trainings on the border. All the evidence suggested that was not the case. They were literally shipping out blood bags and medical tents, like the blood bags that would expire in, like, weeks out there as well. So it's like, it was very clear they were preparing for actual combat. But Russian sympathizers and not sympathizers, Russian propagandists and shills have been pushing these talking points for quite a while. The idea that, like, so it starts off and it's like, oh yeah, it's just, yeah, they're not going to invade. Yeah, no, they're totally not going to invade. Come on, no, like, Russia's, come on, no. Russia's not going to invade Ukraine. And then they did. And it was like, okay, they're invading, all right? But it's not actually an invasion. It's actually more like a liberation, really. I mean, really, think about it. It's more like a liberation. The Ukrainian people actually want this, believe it or not. And then it moves on to, okay, well, the Ukrainian people don't necessarily want this, but it's actually because they're Nazis. Russia is going in and denazifying Ukraine. And then they've held on to that for a while, but honestly, that narrative has kind of gone away as the right has gotten more pro-Nazi openly. And then we go down. We go down the list even further. It gets even fucking crazier. And then it becomes, okay, well, Russia's actually winning. And it's like, well, I mean, not really if you look at the way things are going. I mean, by the looks of things, it really seems like Russia is failing when you consider Ukraine is, you know, considerably not as powerful of a country, you would assume, but it's doing an absurdly good job of holding its own against an invasion. And it's very clear that Russia is not winning. Like, their go-to response from this point, like, for a while, has been Russia is winning. But they're not. The propaganda has been Russia is winning. Oh, look, we're rolling out cyber armor. Oh my God, Russia has cyber armor. Oh my God, the they-them American military is done. When the super soldiers with the Russian cyber armor come out, it's like modified paintball gear. and like, Russia has still failed to take any, like, I mean, they've taken ground for sure. Like, let's not pretend like they haven't, you know, achieved anything, and they haven't done serious damage to Ukraine. But, like, I think a lot of people assumed that Russia would have, like, won by now. And not only have they not won by now, but they're actually doing quite poorly in the grand scheme of the war. So, yeah. I don't know. I just think it's funny. Like, I'm curious to see how continuously desperate Russian propaganda outlets and talking points have to get in order to make Russia look good. Because that is the thing that always has to happen. Russia always has to be made to look good, no matter what. Can't allow for it not to.
Productions, who is also on Russia's wanted list, and Andrei Soldatov, a Russian investigative journalist whose site has been blocked in Russia. Christo, to you first. I know that you have been talking to all of your sources. What do you think happened here?
Well, there's no doubt among any of the Wagnerites or ex-Wagnerites whom I'm talking to that this was an assassination, this was a decapitation of the whole Wagner.
Yeah, V-Raptor, exactly. There were literally people who were saying that Zelensky staying in Ukraine is false hope and that the country would fall in days and he would be dead and executed. And yet here he is still there and still, like, standing by his nation. Like, yeah. Like, people did not expect Ukraine to hold out this long. And not only, they're not just holding out, they are thriving with it. Well, not thriving, but, like, they are, I would argue, winning. You know, if there is a winning in a war like this, I would argue they are on the winning side so far. At least by the looks of things. I've seen real Prismarine in real life chat, rockhounding, and I really like how this resource pack actually makes the Prismarine the same color as the real Prismarine I've seen IRL. It's a very bright, beautiful blue like this.
Their leadership, as Fred said, nobody doubts that, and even the Telegram channels that were always very well informed and close to the management of Wagner are calling it an assassination. What they're calling it as well is an act of treason. So now we see a reversal of accusations where Putin was calling what Prigozhin did 2 months ago, exactly to the day 2 months ago, treason. Now the ex-Wagnerites or the Wagnerites are calling what Putin did to Prigozhin treason. So we're poised to see some interesting developments in Russia in the next few days.
Andrei, do you have any doubt that Putin was behind this?
That was quite interesting.
None
that
whatsoever,
all the people I spoke with
in my
today,
opinion.
Immediately assumed that it was Putin who was behind this attack, not, say, some rogue elements within the military or the army independently took action against Prigozhin. And for me, it is a sign that Putin was quite successful at reestablishing political control and sending this message to the military, specifically to the military, that there is no space, no room for any independent action.
Christo, it was just a couple weeks ago that you were predicting that Prigozhin would either be dead or that there would be a second coup by the end of the year. What do you think about the timing here if Putin was behind this?
Well, I mean, again, on the assumption that Putin was behind it, and there seems to be no force in Russia that could have done this
other than him, yeah,
authorization and purview, then the only question is,
and the motive. The motive is there.
Fast? I mean, the reason why we on this program discussed a couple of weeks ago that Putin must eliminate, neutralize Prigozhin once he called him a traitor, because otherwise he will
he'd
lose
look weak.
the ability to govern by ruthlessness. The only problem with the timing is that it happened a bit too fast. It happened before Putin was able to essentially destroy the influence of Prigozhin in Africa, destroy the influence of Prigozhin on the remaining Wagner troops. And I think that this has to do exactly with Africa. I mean, in the last week, we saw a lot of escalation of the fight between the Ministry of Defense and Putin and the Kremlin on one hand, and Prigozhin on the other hand, on who will retain control over some of the most lucrative markets in Africa, over Mali, over Central African Republic. In fact, Prigozhin was in Africa the last 2 days, and he was on the way back from Africa trying to retain control over Mali and not to yield control to the Ministry of Defense. And I think it is this escalation of the interest in Africa that precipitated the action against Prigozhin.
Andrei, many people were surprised that Putin didn't take action against Prigozhin after he led that march towards Moscow exactly 2 months ago to the day here. It, of course, failed. He was even seen in public in St. Petersburg attending the very same summit as Putin 2 weeks ago. I mean, if Putin is behind this, why wait 2 months?
Yeah, opportunity, because he was out of the country.
It is a sign that Putin is still a cold-blooded and a very calculating player who took his time to assess the situation, to assess what to do with Prigozhin's resources in the country and outside the country, to try to figure out what to do with Prigozhin's people in Africa and in the Middle East. And also, he needed to understand
I love this
what
guy's
to do
accent.
with the military. And I think it's not a surprise and not a coincidence that this week we also got news about Surovikin. Finally, we got some clearance about
Yeah, Putin was probably just waiting for the best opportunity. Like, I don't think it was like, oh, it has to happen now for any, like, particular reason. And I don't think he couldn't have done it sooner. I think it was just probably most convenient to do it now. Like, you know? I don't know if it really matters, like, why he chose to do it now. I think it's just very clear that he's had a ticking kind of timer on his reputation for a while now, where people are just day by day thinking of him as weak. Because he's called this guy a traitor. He's very explicitly stated that this guy's an enemy of the people, and he hadn't done anything about him. And he had to do something about him. He's got to keep up the strongman, fasci aesthetic. Otherwise, his way of ruling doesn't work on his people. They've been trained to respond to that type of behavior from their leader.
Clarity. But what actually happened to Surovikin, he was dismissed. He lost his position as a head of our space forces, but still remains in the military.
Yeah, a key general. It had been in the Ukraine war and dismissed as the head of what is the equivalent of the Air Force. And he hadn't been seen since the mutiny in June. And we just found out that he was stood down here really in the last day. Christo, Bellingcat was critical to proving that it was a Russian missile that had taken down MH17, that commercial jetliner in eastern Ukraine in 2014, killing so many people. What should outside investigators be looking for in this case, in Prigozhin's plane, that does not require Russian cooperation?
Yeah, I think we're in a different...
this is also like... This is also like a pretty good way of handling it for the Russian people, too. Like, it's very possible that, like, if Putin tried to pull this off in any other way, it could have ended up, you know, having some level of, like, explosive impact, I guess, on just your average everyday citizen. It just being the leader's plane gets shot down flying in the middle of the countryside, and, you know, this coup group is done. The head's been cut off the snake. Then that's actually a pretty effective way to handle the problem. Funnily enough. Yes, Bouth. After stream today, we binge. And then tomorrow, because I'm not streaming tomorrow, I have tomorrow off, we binge. Back to the video.
Stage now, we have so many leaks within Russia, within Russian security services, within Russian Ministry of Defense, people that are actively or tacitly fighting against one another, that we're going to get the answers pretty soon, I believe. We're not going to have to go through this laborious looking for shreds of shrapnel and shreds of evidence and looking for postings on social media, which is what Bellingcat had to do for months and years in 2014 and 15. I think we're going to see actual reports and witness statements and pictures.
Oh yeah, this will be talked about by people involved.
Leaked to social media and to Telegram channels in the next few days, because if
Putin wants everyone to know that he did it, but he doesn't want it to come from his mouth. Although, to be fair, it might actually make Putin look better if he does just outright state, yep, he was a threat to the country, he was a traitor, I eliminated him. That's the kind of leader I am. Like, that would actually probably make him look best. He might just straight up own up to it. Like, if unironically, if I were Putin's, like, content manager right now, I'd be like, bro, just own it. Just Giga Chad and say yes. Yep, that was me. That would be me if I was Putin's manager. He should hire me. I'd be good at that job. No, Bouth, you've betrayed us. Okay, we can do tomorrow then.
Prigozhin did one good thing. If this cold-blooded criminal and war criminal did one good thing, he actually created some sort of pluralism of media in Russia, in a very perverse sense. And there's a lot of people who now have taken cue from him and are speaking up. They're not the nicest people, but they're going to leak. And I think we're going to find out what happened to this in the next couple of days.
Everyone involved is just awful. I love that about this entire situation, is that everybody involved is just awful. It's Putin and the war criminals that are also just literal criminals that he hired to go do war crimes in another country. It's all just evil versus evil in this like inter-Russian oligarchy drama and this coup shit. The only good guys are the Ukrainians. And us. We're also the good guys. We're actually the best guys. Did that dolphin just bring me the prismarine? Oh my god, it is. Oh. Yo. Dude, the aquatic update is so cool. Why are 2B2T players so stupid and mad about this? I've got a dolphin bringing me blocks, bro. Yeah, bring me that. Yeah, bump it towards me, buddy. Yeah. Oh, shit. Ah! Oh, these things are so annoying. Maybe, just to not have to deal with these things, it might be worth... No, it would literally take hours to dry out the entire temple. It's not worth it. It's not time efficient. Wait, is this on 2B2T? Yes. Yes, it is. Look at the chat. Look at the tab menu. Yes, I'm on 2B right now. Yep. Pretty based, huh? Pretty cool. Yeah, I think Prigozhin, I think he definitely got what he deserved, morally. But also fuck Putin. But also, like, I'm not going to complain that Putin took this, like, horrific guy out. But at the same time, it's also possible that him living longer would have been ideal for, you know, everybody else, because Prigozhin's continued life and existence within Russia or even outside of it would continue to make Putin look bad and look weak, which is, like, the best way to hurt him, it seems, is to make him look weak. What hack client do I use? Meteor. It's the Meteor client. I would recommend using Meteor client until Future client, if that's what you'd prefer to use, gets fully updated to 1.19 or like a full 1.20 version. It's not the beta. I tried out the Future beta. It's okay, but I actually do think that Meteor client's better, at least right now. And Meteor client's free. But that's just for now. I prefer normal, like, full release Future. I think it's the best hacked client, so that's what I would advise. Yeah, one sec. Okay. I'll be alright. You can tank drowning for a hot minute in that armor. Anyway, rip Bozo. Okay. I'm gonna take just a minute to figure out this problem. This Guardian problem we've got. I think what I have to do is seal up the building. Because I think they're getting in through holes, and if I kill them all, then they won't get in anymore if I seal up the holes. Okay, it's one of them. Here, give me my dolphin speed buff, buddy. Thank you. Okay, I think there's another hole up here. Yoink. Yeah, I'm covering my holes. And then this was probably a big hole they were coming through. Big hole. There we go. Okay. Oh, and then there's one there. I bet they're coming in through there. I assume they also probably spawn in here, but I just don't want more coming in. I bet they spawn around this dark block, this dark prismarine. Just like we see in the game with the dark prismarine. If you get the reference, you get the reference, and you're probably laughing. Oh my god, fuck off! I need a trident with that enchantment that lets you one-shot these things. Because even a sharpness 5 netherite sword does not get the job done. Takes 3 swings. And by the time I've killed these things, I'm drowning again. Oh my god, more spawn. Okay, so it's just a matter of mine before they can get you. Okay. Yeah, I just gotta out DPS and juke these things and their laser beams. There's no way to prevent them from spawning other than drying out the entire temple. God damn, I watched so much MatPat back in like 2013 to 2015. I still watch MatPat fairly regularly to this day, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I think he gets a bad rap. I think overall he's done some cringe stuff before, but overall, not a bad content creator. I think it's just fun and like cool and hip to shit on him. And so that's what people do. Just like we see in the game with the Dark Prismarine, exactly. Okay. Here, I'm gonna make myself a little friendly little hole here that I can chill out in while I bring up the GOP debate. Fuck. There we go. Ooh, the Lynx Cherry got might not be good anymore. Oh wait, no, we got a VOD. Okay. Cool. Okay.
Hopeful, call it.
Okay. Wait, no, you gotta be kidding me. There's gotta be picture-in-picture. Yeah, there it is. Okay, good. 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 Thanks, Rumble. Whew. I was about to say, this shit doesn't let you do picture-in-picture mode. It's a Jover, bro. It's a Joever. Chat, stop being cucks. Copyright won't get us. Sam Cedar and David Packman watched it live. Yes, we should be good. Sam Cedar and David Packman both were able to watch this. They put it into a small window on their screen, just like what I'm doing, and I also have Minecraft noises going while I'm covering it. So I think, especially with the pauses and my talking and commentary, we should be good. I think we should be good. Can you turn the opacity on the window down also? Yo, that would be some big brain shit. I'll see if I can actually do that. Let me also see if I can... Oh my god, I can even adjust the speed? Okay, Rumble's general functionality ain't that bad. Okay. Alright, let me see about this. Filters. Yeah, I don't think that's a feature. Maybe under properties? No. No, I can't fade it out. I can't turn down the opacity on it, but this will be enough. I promise you. It'll be fine. Okay. Let me take a sippy. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Oh boy, oh boy. Today is the day, and now is the time. I'm a little late to it, and by a little late, I mean this literally ended an hour ago. I'm an hour late to this live debate. However, I actually prefer it that way because, as you all know, I can't go 2 seconds without pausing a video and talking for 10 minutes. And when I'm watching something that's live, you guys get mad when I pause and commentate. So now that we're watching it like after the fact, like very briefly after the fact, I can actually pause it and commentate on stuff without you guys having any reason to when I'm a pause Andy. So that's nice. That's a nice little benefit of this. If you want to add opacity, I figured it out. Add the filter color correction when you get the option for opacity. Oh, okay. If it ends up being necessary, I can do that. But I don't think it will be necessary. But if anything, my stream would just get like, if my stream does get like booted, like if it just goes like dark and it says, your stream stopped or whatever, just wait a bit and refresh. It will come back up. But that's just worst case scenario, okay? I won't get striked. I will not get a strike. That won't happen. Almost certainly I won't get a strike. What would happen is I'd get a brief takedown where it's like my stream would just stop going. But we'll see what happens. I think we'll be good. But this is it. The GOP debates. Let's watch. I do have it slightly sped up because this is going to be cringe as fuck. And it's 2.5 hours long. So, oh, I like that harsh cut.
Some call it the heartland.
Oh, it's already cringe.
But for the 2024 presidential hopefuls, the Midwest is the place to land. Here, there is one battleground that may be harder to win than ever. Wisconsin. A state known for its beer and cheese, gridiron and grit.
Oh my God.
It's razor-thin elections. 2016 Republicans narrowly flipped the Badger State red for the first time since Ronald Reagan. But it was back to blue by 2020. That election came during an unprecedented year. The country was rife with tension. In the suburbs of Milwaukee, the division seemed deeper than ever.
What I love about like your average like GOP gathering like messaging video is how desperately they're trying to appeal to like these disaffected Midwest like sort of like good old boy type Americans that feel as though the left disregards them and sees them as like irrelevant and their states as flyover country. And the sad thing is a fair amount of like lefties do treat it that way, like liberals in particular. And so I can kind of understand why they feel that way. Get ready for a ride. I don't know if there's going to be much to say. I think it's just going to be like me viscerally cringing on camera.
But that was just the beginning. 2 years later, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Roe versus Wade, leaving the legality of abortion up to the states. In Wisconsin, that meant a nearly total ban. The power of that issue drove Democrats to the polls this year. Now, that new thin liberal majority on the court could have that abortion issue before it again, just as the race for the White House accelerates. Tonight, the Republican candidates will face off.
They recognize abortion's not a winning issue, at least.
Hoping to return next July to this city on the shore of Lake Michigan to accept the Republican nomination
you will laugh
at their
hard,
party's
Zan.
national convention.
God, it's so dramatic. The DNC needs to start.
Tonight, the race for the White House takes flight. Welcome to the first debate of the 2024 presidential
The Democrats
campaign,
really need to start
live
doing
at
shit
Fiserv
like
Forum
this.
in Milwaukee.
8 Republican candidates have qualified
Have you seen how low energy the Democrat ones are?
As they battle for the GOP nomination. Good evening, everybody. I'm
Every time.
And I'm Brett Baer. This is the very same stage on which the Republican choice for president will accept the party's nomination next summer. The 8 contenders are positioned by the order they sit in the polls, with the highest polling candidates in the middle standing center stage. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Former Vice President Mike Pence.
Former South Carolina Governor Nikki
All these people suck.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson.
And North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum.
Some ground rules for tonight. We'll ask the questions,
I like how
and then candidates get
I
1
don't
minute
know.
to answer. If
I knew 3 of those people. Like that gives you like prospect on like who matters here. I knew 3 of those people by name. Like that's it. 3 of them. It's not looking good. It's not looking good for any of them. I think Trump might have this one in the bag.
someone is singled out,
He's not
you get
even
30
there.
seconds to
Trump didn't
respond.
even show
and when
up.
the time runs out, we all will hear this. Very pleasant.
So
Because he
tonight,
knows
these
he's the
candidates have
winner.
a big opportunity to break out of the pack and to explain why they are best prepared to be the Republican choice for president at a time when the likely Democrat nominee, President Joe Biden, is working to convince the country that with Bidenomics, things are looking up.
They call my plan Bidenomics. I'm not sure they meant it in a totally complimentary way at the time. But guess what? It's working.
But is
I
it?
love Joe.
More than
He's
65%
based.
of Americans say the country is headed in the wrong direction. And here's the reality for some voters we talked to here in Wisconsin this week.
What a vague
We have noticed a
question.
dramatic increase in prices at the grocery store just across the board.
Gas is high and food is high. A lot of people's out here homeless because they can't buy food.
It's tough when you got mortgage rates at 70% versus 2 to 3.
Oh shit,
It's just
guys,
you
the
can't afford the house
Republicans
anymore.
care about homeless people?
Inflation is ridiculous. It's killing us out here.
As we sit here tonight,
How is it that literally every single time there's a Democrat president, and like we've looked into this, like it is not because of Democrat policy, generally speaking, that we see increases in inflation, but generally it seems like it takes roughly a political cycle, like a presidential cycle, for the effects to really hit the American people and become apparent. So it always seems like the current president is responsible for the symptoms of the actions of the last president. And so that always makes it look like any economic turmoil we face caused by Republican policymaking is caused by Democrats, and they use it against the Democrats. And if they can keep getting reelected, then they can keep doing those policies. And if people keep swinging back and forth, then the same effect will just keep happening. Unless Gen Z just wipes the... Like, remember, by the way, like, while all this is going, you have to remember, young people that are, like, about to get to be voting age just this year and right before the election next year, really do not like the Republicans. They are staunchly vote blue no matter who. Gen Z is very pro-Democrat, very progressive, very pro-LGBT, very anti-Republican just across the board. So yeah, I don't see the Republicans having much staying power with this election. And I think they know it. I really do think they know it.
the #1 song on the Billboard chart is called Rich Men North of Richmond.
God.
By a singer from
This guy's
Farmville, Virginia,
astroturfed as
named
fuck.
Oliver Anthony. His lyrics speak of alienation, of deep frustration with the state of government and of this country. Washington, D.C. is about 100 miles north of Richmond.
These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control. Want to know what you think, want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that.
There was a really good country song parody of this guy's song, and it's like it was like called Blame the Poor. And it's basically like the same, it's basically the lyrics of this guy's song, It's a different melody and everything, though. I think it's actually better, but it's more mask-off. So if you pay attention to the lyrics of the song, it's basically like the poor people are the problem, and the Democrats and the government are taking my hard-earned money to give to poor people while they eat their fucking fudge rounds and whatnot. Like, it's really fucked. Didn't this guy recently get canceled for saying diversity is our strength? No. He actually, I think, put out a new song today that has like 3 million views already. Here we go. Worth noting, the cons are trying to cancel him after he said he wanted unity. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he put out a new song today, though. It's still, like, massively viral. Like, you have to understand, he's been big-time astroturfed by the right. You cannot go anywhere on YouTube without seeing that video recommended. It's been paid for as an ad, the original video, on both Facebook and YouTube. You know anyone can do that, right? Like, anyone can just pay money to Google or to Facebook to just run ads. You can just do that. Like, they put it through a screening process first, but you can just do that. And that's what Daily Wire does for, like, Abigail Shapiro. They do it for Ben Shapiro. They do it for Michael Knowles. PragerU does this for themselves. I could go down the list. Steven Crowder does this, or did this, before he kind of, like, dematerialized from the internet. Yeah, they basically have bought their way into prominence. Very artificially.
So, Governor DeSantis, why is this song striking such a nerve in this country right now? What do you think it means?
Jesus.
Our country is in decline. This decline is not inevitable. It's a choice. We need to send Joe Biden back to his basement and reverse American decline. And it starts with understanding.
Damn, he actually got a good clap there.
So that middle-class families have a chance to succeed again. We cannot succeed as a country if you are working hard and you can't afford groceries, a car, or a new home, while Hunter Biden can make hundreds of thousands of dollars on lousy paintings. That is wrong.
They're so obsessed with Hunter Biden.
Congress spends trillions and trillions of dollars. Those rich men north of Richmond have put us in this situation. And finally, we need to lower your gas prices. We're going to open up.
Oh, by the way, for those of you guys that don't know, his talking points leaked a couple days ago. People on Ron DeSantis' team leaked his script for his responses to these questions. For those that don't know, these debates are entirely scripted. They get the questions ahead of time, and they have, like, their entire teams working to give them, like, scripted answers ahead of time. Their job is to sit there, look pretty, and recite their answers in a way that's, like, effective. So, like, this all already leaked. Like, we already know what his answers are. They leaked online. None of this is, like, original thought coming from him. A team wrote this together, put it together, had him read through it, and train up, and it's leaked. We've known about this for days.
All energy production. We will be energy dominant again in this country.
More oil. More oil.
I pledge to you as your president, we will get the job done, and I will not let you down.
Governor DeSantis, thank you. Governor Christie, do you agree with Governor DeSantis just said there? And why would you be better on the economy than him?
Well, look, I do agree predominantly with what Governor DeSantis just laid out. I think that if you asked every one of us up here, that we would agree predominantly with what he just laid out. Here's the difference. The difference is that we're going to have to work and make sure that we sell these ideas. And be able to put ourselves in a position where we get a majority of the vote, not only by winning the Congress and the Senate in 24, but also by having someone who's had the experience
Who
of
is
doing
this
it.
guy?
Now,
I don't know who this guy
was
is.
elected as a conservative Republican in a blue state with 61% of the vote, with a Democratic legislature against me the entire time. And we still, through hard, strong decision-making,
their biggest concern is
around
winning.
To our point of view, we cut taxes in New Jersey.
That's
We cut
Chris
debt in
Christie.
New Jersey.
Oh,
We
okay.
made
I know
sure
his
that
name,
each and
but I've
every
never
time
seen
we
a
were
picture of
confronted
him.
With bad Democratic ideas, we stood and stopped them. And when there were
That
good
is not what
ideas, we brought
I would
people
have assumed
together
he looked
to make
like.
progress going forward.
He ran for president in
Truth and
2016.
accountability are the things we need to do to fight waste. And I'd say the last thing is.
Do you think this guy looks, like, memorable? I'm actually genuinely curious. Do you guys think of all the hundreds of, like, Republican pieces of shit that I've had to talk about on my channel, Do you guys think he's that memorable? I know he is. Like, I've heard of him by name, but like visually, does he really look like? Oh, you see him and you're just like, whoa, that's Chris Christie. No. No, he's just. You're like, oh, that's what he looks like. Okay.
This, Brett, we cannot sit by any longer and allow the kind of spending that's going on in Washington, because every dollar they spend is a dollar that these people are not allowed to spend on their children and their grandchildren. It's robbing our country, and it's wrong.
Well, Governor, let me just follow up very quickly. New Jersey, when you were governor...
They're talking about taxes right now, by the way, because that song, the Richmond, North of Richmond song, is about tax money being spent on poor people for welfare programs, and like the money being taken from the middle class. That song is being called the middle class anthem, has been the term, because for a lot of you guys that don't know, a lot of conservatives are actually middle class. There's a lot of stereotypes about how most Republicans are actually poor and they're like really bad education, and and that is true for a lot of conservatives, but many of them are actually fairly well-off middle class who vote Republican primarily because they know that for things such as Medicare for all or even a public option to exist, there would have to be pretty significant hikes to taxes for middle-class families and, well, not even middle-class families. Families actually don't get taxed as much. It would be middle-class single guys, for the most part, would be getting taxed the most. Yeah, this is just, like, tax fear-mongering, because, like the entire song is, like, an anthem for like relatively well-off middle-class people who want to pretend like poor people are the cause of all their problems, because rich, like, they see themselves as being like just a step away from being rich, and they don't want to be against that system. You know, when they think they're just, you know, they're almost there, right? I don't know if you guys have seen people like this, but in Florida, it's pretty common. That type of conservative.
Governor had the second lowest credit rating in the nation after Illinois, and it was downgraded 11 times.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you inherit a blue state that has done that. But when you look at what we did on debt, Brett, in that state, we cut debt in that state, debt that had been left to us by 3 Democratic gubernatorial predecessors of mine who ran up that debt tremendously.
By the way, when conservatives talk about blank country or blank state being in debt, it means nothing. Like, legitimately. It means nothing. It doesn't mean the type of debt that you think it means. It's just, debt is a scary word. When people go into debt, it's a bad thing. But the way it functions economically is not the same. This is just them using fear-mongering language. There is no way, realistically, for there not to be any national debt. That's just not a thing. Well, yeah, in the U.S., to be fair, like, we're talking about, this is the case with America, and we're talking about Republicans, we're talking about American conservatives in America. The U.S. national debt is not, like, it's not like owing your friend money, you know? It's not like America's in trouble if we don't pay someone back. It's more of it's more representative of a disparity in investment, from my understanding. It's more complicated than that, but my general cursory knowledge is that the majority of that debt comes from American... Ooh, hold on. The fact that there are more... America is putting more money into China in many different ways. This includes investing than China is putting into us. However, China is still putting a lot of fucking investment into us. We are still like one of their, if not their #1 trading partner. So, yeah, I don't know. We're not getting into this stun lock.
And what you also saw us do was to cut the unemployment rate in half. It was over 10% when I became governor in 2010. What we also did was cut pension payments to public employees to make sure that taxpayers were not being soaked by a public employee union system that was killing the taxpayer.
Thank you, Governor.
Tim Scott, Senator Scott, excuse me. The song also goes after welfare programs. As a senator, now President Biden argued for freezing federal spending, this was back in the 80s, and dealing with sacred cows. He does not talk about that anymore. You have been a senator, though, for 10 years. So what have you done to rein in the increasing size of government?
Well, thank you for the question.
Rein in the size of
several
government.
years, I've had an
So
opportunity.
what she's asking right now is, what have you done to help destroy welfare programs meant to help poor people, to instead help the middle class, the upper middle class, which majorly vote Republican. God, these people are demons. They really are demons. Like, hold on, can I get like a soundboard that plays "Meanwhile at the Sanctum of Evil" every time like we resume this shit, because this is just the Sanctum of Evil. That's what we're watching right now.
Opportunity to vote against spending package after spending package after spending package. What we also need to understand is that Joe Biden's Bidenomics
Legion of
has
Doom.
led to the loss of $10,000 of spending power for the average family. When you see 16% inflation, your gas is up 40%, your food is up 20%, your electricity is up 20%. We can stop that by turning the spigot off in Washington, sending the money back to the states, and allowing the decisions to be made at their own houses. I helped write the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017. We cut taxes for a single mom like the one that raised me by 70%, for dual households by 60%, returning to the average family $4,000. If you don't send it to Washington, we can't spend it. That's good news for the American people.
Okay, but just to
The unfortunate thing is, though, all of that money just, it doesn't go to anything generally that ends up helping the vast majority of those that get it. So $4,000 over the course of a year sounds like a lot, right? Like that's a good amount of money to save. But if that $4,000 could instead go to welfare programs that would guarantee that, like, if you got into a life-ruining accident or got a life-ruining disease or something and you required medical treatment, or your house got burned down, or God forbid any number of unpredictable disasters happened, if you could just like spend $4,000 a year in taxes and guarantee those won't be a problem, and that won't be a problem for anybody else either, then would you not be fine with paying that much in taxes? I don't know. The only truly good thing about Chris Christie is that he's so loudly anti-Trump. Yeah. Oh my God, these things. Oh my God, they're the worst. They're the worst. They do way too much damage, too. They do way too much fucking damage. And the knockback. Like, they get knocked back 100 feet, so you gotta chase them down.
follow up, you did, during the Trump administration, you approved $4.4 trillion, $4.1 trillion, $1.7 trillion over the course of that administration. That's a lot of money.
There's no doubt that during the Trump administration, when we were dealing with the COVID virus, we spent more money. But here's what happened at the end of our time in the majority. We had low unemployment, record low unemployment.
The inflation is
3.5%
mostly
for the
caused by
majority of the
COVID, by the way.
population, 70-year low for
COVID
women.
fucked up the economy bad.
African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians had an all-time low, but our inflation was at 2%. Under Joe Biden, we've seen the exact opposite. We've seen inflation explode, which led to 12 Federal Reserve increases that's devastating home buyers today.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you're listening to these answers.
If I may,
Hold on one second.
our administration, so I don't know if I get a chance to respond.
He didn't mention you specifically, but we'll be with you in a second, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Ramaswamy, listening to all of this, why should voters choose you over more experienced politicians on this stage? You're basically, a blank slate for people. You're 38 years old. You've said that you only voted in 2 presidential elections before this moment, this political race.
So first, let me just address a question.
Only
that is on
voted in
everybody's
2
mind at home
presidential
tonight.
elections?
Who the heck is this skinny guy with a funny last name, and what the heck is he doing in the middle of this debate stage? I'll tell you, I'm not a politician, Brett. You're right about that. I'm an entrepreneur. My parents
God,
came to this
this
country
guy.
with no money 40 years ago.
No
I
wonder
have
this
gone on
guy's
to found
popular with
multi-billion
Republicans.
dollar companies. I did it while marrying my wife, a poor
He's
vote,
a tech
raising
bro.
our 2 sons, following our faith in God. That is the American dream. And I am genuinely worried that that American dream will not exist for our 2 sons and their generation unless we do something about it. And I do think Brett is going to take an outsider, because for a long time we have professional politicians in the Republican Party.
Yeah,
who
he's
have been
doing
running
the Ben
from something.
Shapiro impression.
Now is our moment to start running to something, to our vision of
He's a
what it
Shapiro.
means to be an American today.
He's the Shapiro archetype of conservative.
Broke it again. You hand it over to a new generation to actually fix the problem. That's why I'm in this race, and we're just getting warmed up.
All right, to you, Governor Haley. So why are are you better positioned to turn around this economy that we've heard all of these voters talking about tonight than Mr. Ramaswamy, who is a successful entrepreneur nationally right now? He's beating you in the polls.
Well, I don't care about polls. What I care about the fact is that no one is
Oh my
telling
God,
the
a
American
woman?
people the truth. The truth is
forgot.
that Biden didn't do this to us. Our Republicans did this to us too. When they passed
True.
that $2.2 trillion COVID stimulus bill, they left us with 90 million people on Medicaid, 42 million people on food stamps. No one has told you how to fix it. I'll tell you how to.
It's so evil. It's so evil, dude. God, they're demonic. She's describing how evil it is, how many people were given financial support, by the way. That's what she's talking about, how evil that is and how awful it is. How bad that was.
Fix it. They need to stop the spending. They need to stop the borrowing. They need to eliminate the earmarks that the Republicans brought back in. And they need to make sure they understand these are taxpayer dollars. It's not their dollars. And while they're all saying this, you have Ron DeSantis, you've got Tim Scott, you've got Mike Pence. They all voted to raise the debt. And Donald Trump added $8 trillion to our debt. And our kids are never going to forgive us for this. And so at the end of the day, you look at the 2024 budget, Republicans asked for $7.4 billion in earmarks. Democrats asked for $2.8 billion. So you tell me who are the big spenders. I think it's time for an accountant in the White House.
Vice President Pence, you were mentioned there. 54% of voters say the cost of groceries is a, quote, major problem for them.
Right.
You blamed the Biden administration spending for that increase. But as vice president, your administration spent more than any prior, $7.8 trillion added to the national debt, $3.5 trillion of that before COVID. So does that mean that you're part of the spending problem?
Well, first off, thanks for the question. Thanks for letting me respond to a reference to our administration's record. I'm incredibly proud of the record of the Trump-Pence administration. I mean, in 4 short years, we rebuilt our military. We revived our economy. We unleashed American energy. And we appointed 3 conservatives to the Supreme Court that gave the American people a new beginning for the right to life. Now,
that's taking away Roe v.
earlier,
Wade,
who's
the right to
the most
abortion.
best prepared
They
for
call
this
it the
job?
right to life.
And I must say, with all due respect,
Because they have the
to all
dog
of my friends
whistle,
on the stage,
taking away people's
and even the
rights
one
to make
that's
it
probably
sound
looking
better.
on. I think unquestionably I am the best prepared, the most tested, the most qualified and proven conservative in this race. I was a leader in the Congress of the United States. I led Indiana where we balanced budgets and had a AAA bond rating when I was governor. And as Vice President of the United States, we spent funding to backfill on the military cuts of the Obama administration, and then we were there in the worst pandemic in 100 years. All that being said, I was the first person in this race.
Those horrible
to say
cuts
we've got
on
to deal with the
military
long-term
spending.
National debt
Gotta fix
issues.
those cuts
You've got
on
people
military
this stage that
spending.
won't even talk about issues like Social Security and Medicare.
We gotta
Vivek,
spend
you
more
recently
money on
said,
the
"A president can't do
military.
everything." Well, I got news
Yes.
for you, Vivek. I've been in the hallway. I've been in the West Wing. A president of the United States has to confront every crisis facing America. I will put our nation back on the path to growth and prosperity and restore fiscal responsibility, just as I did in Congress and as governor
Mr. Vice President.
and when I was vice president.
But I mean, we
Hold on.
respond
Yeah,
since I was. since
you
I
were
was
named
the
earlier.
vote.
I'm
What?
going to Vivek first.
We'll get to both of
Yeah,
them.
this isn't that complicated.
They're like
guys. Unlock
stuttering
American
over each
energy.
other.
Drill, frack,
Okay, they're
burn
just
coal,
spawning in
erase nuclear.
hordes. This isn't
Put people
possible.
back to work by no longer paying them more to stay at home. Reform the U.S. Fed, stabilize the U.S. dollar, and go to war. The only war that I will declare as U.S. president will be the war on the federal administrative state that is the source of those toxic regulations acting like a wet blanket on the economy. So I'm not sure I exactly understood
Those
Mike Pence's
toxic
comment, but I'll let you all parse
regulations,
that out. For me, it's
no.
pretty simple. That's something a U.S. president can do. with
Oh,
focus
Republicans
and
are
a
so
little
fucking monstrous, dude.
If I can.
They're so
I'll go
monstrous.
slower this time.
You know, I sometimes struggle with the reading
Look, I was a House conservative leader before it was cool. I actually pushed a Deficit Reduction Act. That was the last time we actually reduced the national debt in the United States, when I was the leader of House conservatives. I balanced budgets and cut taxes when I was governor. I mean, look, Joe Biden has weakened this country at home and abroad. Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience. We need to bring
It's 30 seconds when you have a rebuttal, okay? And you are up, Governor DeSantis.
So here's the thing.
God, they're
Why are
getting
we in
mad
this
at each
mess?
other.
Part of it, and a major reason, is because how this federal government handled COVID-19 by locking down this economy. It was a mistake. It should have never happened. And in Florida, we led the country out of lockdown. We kept our state free and open. And I can tell
God,
you
these
this,
people
as
are
your
evil.
president, I will never let the deep state bureaucrats lock you down. You don't take somebody
Deep
like Fauci
state
and coddle him.
bureaucrats.
You bring
Oh
Fauci
no. So for those that don't know, COVID's never going away. Because of these people, they've solidified that COVID will be a thing forever now. And the unfortunate thing is, the research continuously shows long COVID is a lifetime thing. I felt a lot better from my shit recently, like my long COVID shit I had to deal with, but like it's very likely that I'll have another spike in like feeling like garbage down the road, and that'll be like the rest of my life thing. Like most of the evidence shows that's the case. The same goes for SARS, the SARS epidemic, and because of the way the Republicans handled COVID, there's no stopping it now. It's just here to stay now. It's going to be as normal as the flu and the cold now. We completely missed the opportunity because of the Republicans to make COVID extinct like we did the Spanish flu. It is now impossible. So what they're talking about right now is basically, for lack of a better term, gloating about how they have guaranteed COVID will continue to kill many, many millions more people and basically destroy the lives of many more in perpetuity because of their actions, and that they will ensure the next time another pandemic like this happens, they will go about doing the exact same thing. Like, this is them indicating the next time a pandemic happens like this, no matter how bad it is, they're going to do this again. They will not stand for any form of lockdown or like quarantining procedures for anything. They will do this again. Which basically means they are promising to doom humanity to like a viral epidemic anytime one comes along. They are announcing they will engage in terrorism, but like literal, like basically terrorism, I would say that is what that is, because they refuse to be put under lockdown as quarantine. Cool. Very good.
You sit him down and you say, Anthony, you are fired.
Fire Fauci! Fire Fauci!
We're going to bring in... I just want to respond to Mike for 1
no
second.
Vaccines! Vaccines bad! Fire Fauci!
Slogans out of the way, we can actually have a real discussion now. The reality and the fact of the matter is...
Was that one of yours?
Not really, Mike, actually. We're just going to have some fun tonight. And the reality is, you have a bunch of people, professional politicians, super PAC puppets, following slogans handed over to them by their 400-page super PACs last week. The real choice we face in this primary is this. Do you want a super PAC puppet, or do you want a patriot who speaks the truth? Do you want incremental reform, which is what you're hearing about?
He's talking about DeSantis' things leaking.
I stand on the side of the American revolution.
We're going to take control back here.
We need everyone to have a moment on the economy.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Can I address the
there are
COVID
two
issue
people
that
who
the
have
governor
not.
brought
We're
up?
going to get back to that. We are. There are two people who we have not heard from yet. So let's hear from Governor Burgum and then from Governor Hutchinson on the economy, sir.
Well, great. Thank you, Martha. And of course, I'm from a town of 300 people. It's a big deal to make it on this stage with all these folks. But when they were all wishing me well, and I think I took it a little too literally when they said, go to Milwaukee and break a leg. So, but I want to say, on this, we're missing something. We can't just talk about the Biden economy because the economy, energy, and national security are all tied together.
Was that canned
too much for
laughter?
our energy in our state, in our country right now. But part of the reason why is because the Biden policies on energy. We've got a plan right now. The $1.2 trillion of Green New Deal spending buried in the Inflation Creation Act is something that is just subsidizing China. If we're going to stop buying oil from the Middle East and start buying batteries from China, we're just trading OPEC for Sinopec. And then belatedly, the Biden administration says, no, we're going to put sanctions on Russian oil. Well, we put sanctions on Russian oil. Well, then it's 20% off. Who's buying it? China. So if you buy a battery in this country, you buy a solar panel, it's being produced in a plant in China powered by coal, or it's being powered by oil and gas at 20% off. And every farmer in this country likes to buy diesel at 20% off, just like they're buying in China.
Governor Hutchinson, quickly.
One of those non-states.
Thank you, Grant. Delighted to be here tonight. And let me just tell you that I'm a pro-life governor from a
I can tell.
Have a conservative
I can tell.
I lowered taxes in Arkansas as governor.
Yeah, you're from Arkansas, right? I can tell.
To my successor, and I made sure that we shrunk the size of government. We have 14% fewer state employees in Arkansas after I left government than when I took over as governor 8 years ago. I tell that because that's what we need in Washington, D.C. We need somebody who can actually constrain the growth of the federal government.
This guy almost sounds like Dale Gribble if he was never like a chain smoker. Rest in peace, by the way. Yeah, he kind of does. Like, when I got into the government, I can't. Arkansas.
That can actually reduce the size, and I've pledged to reduce by 10% our federal non-defense workforce. That's a specific pledge to make that attacks the administrative state. And let me applaud some of the business partners that are here that have had success in business. But let me tell you, I've been a federal prosecutor. I've served our country in terms of being head of the DEA, in Homeland Security, in times of crisis. And while I think that's experience that is important for the future of our country, to be the president of the United States that can lead with positive solutions and be held accountable.
Thank you. We have a lot of topics to get to, and I promise we're going to get to everyone if we play within the rules.
A cop president, fantastic.
More than 1,000 people are still
that sounds like a great plan.
After the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century, Hawaii's governor and White House officials said that climate change.
Are you ready to hear some climate change denial? All right, here comes the climate change denial. Let's go.
Amplified the cost of human error.
And a tropical storm hit California for the first time in 84 years. The ocean hit 101 degrees off the coast of Florida. And in the last month, the heat wave in the Southwest broke records nearly 50 years old.
So Alexander Diaz from Young America's Foundation has a question for you all.
Polls consistently show that young people's #1 issue is climate change. How will you, as both President of the United States and leader of the Republican Party, calm their fears that the Republican Party doesn't care about climate change?
So we want to start on this with a show of
I like how it's calm their fears and not what will you do about climate change. It's how will you get them to shut the fuck up. That's great.
You believe in human behavior is causing climate change. Raise your hand if you do.
Look, we're not school children. Let's have the debate. I mean, I'm happy to take it to start. Alexander,
so do you want to raise your hand?
Oh, God.
I don't think that's the way to do. So let me just say to Alexander this. First of all, one of the reasons our country's decline is because of the way the corporate media treats Republicans versus Democrats. Biden was on the beach while those people were suffering. He was asked about it. He said, no comment. Are you kidding me? As somebody that's handled disasters in Florida, you got to be activated. You've got to be there. You've got to be present. You've got to be helping people who are doing this. And here's the deal.
So is that a yes or is that a yes? Is that a hand raise?
You do not.
I think it was a hand raise for him, and my hands are in my pockets.
No, I didn't raise a hand.
Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax, and we have to declare independence for it. And the reality is, the anti-carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy. And so the reality is more people are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
Governor Haley, are you bought and paid for? Hold on.
Yeah, he's very stupid, obviously. He doesn't believe climate change is real, but he's popular with the right. Makes sense why he'd be popular.
Who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here.
Okay, that was good. All right, I remember Chris Christie now. That was fucking good. That was.
Odd last name doing up here was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing stage.
Oh wait! Oh my God! And he got racist too. Oh my God! Holy shit! Oh my God! We were watching that bit. He went hard there. Oh my God! Holy shit! That was Giga Chad. Oh my God. I'm surprised he didn't just outright call him brown. Instant replay. Yeah, let's get the instant replay.
Said that climate change amplified the cost of human error.
Alexander, so do you want to raise your hand? I don't think that's the way to do. So let me just say to Alexander this. First of all, one of the reasons our country's decline is because of the way the corporate media treats Republicans versus Democrats. Biden was on the beach while those people were suffering. He was asked about it. He said, no comment. Are you kidding me? As somebody that's handled disasters in Florida, you got to be activated. You've got to be there. You've got to be present. You've got to be helping people who are doing this. And here's the deal.
For the record, as a Floridian, he is not known for
this. It was a
this.
hand raise for him, and my hands are in my pockets.
No, I didn't raise a hand.
Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax, and we have to declare independence for it. And the reality is, the anti-carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy.
Anti-carbon
agenda. The reality is, more people are dying of bad.
So he keeps saying that everyone else is bought out, and they are, but it's very obvious, especially based on his talking points, that he is 100% bought out by coal and/or oil, just fossil fuel companies across the board. It's very clear where the money is coming from for him. Yoink.
Bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
Governor Haley, are you bought and paid for?
Who is dying of climate change policy?
Wait, hold on.
I've had enough.
Cause of
I've had
death,
enough
climate
already
change
tonight
policy.
Of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here and The last
That
person in
roast
one of
went
these
hard.
debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
Oh, God.
Give me a hug just like you did to Obama.
Same type of amateur.
And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
The
bear
same
hug, brother.
type of amateur.
Hold on. Governor Haley, would you like to respond? Are you
So,
bought and
Brett,
paid
what
for?
I would like to say is the fact that I think this is exactly why Margaret Thatcher said, if you want something said, ask a
Oh,
man.
my
If you want
God.
something done, ask a woman.
Oh, my God. That was the worst sentence I've heard today. Thank you. That's the worst thing I've heard today.
Taken care of.
Thank
but
you.
There's a right way to do it. And the right way to do it is, first of all, yes,
That
is
takes the
climate change
cake.
real? Yes, it is. But if you want to go and really change the environment, then we need to start telling China and India that they have to lower their emissions. That's where our problem
Wait,
is.
China
And these
already
great
is, and I'm pretty
subsidies
sure
that Biden
India
has
is
put in,
too.
all he's done is help China because he doesn't understand all these electric vehicles that he's done. What that does.
That he's
Half of
done.
the batteries for electric vehicles are made in China. And so that's not helping the environment. You're putting money in China's pocket, and Biden did that. So first of all, I think we need to acknowledge the truth, which is these subsidies are not working. We also need to take on the international world and say, okay, India and China, you've got to stop polluting, and that's when we'll start to deal with
Senator Scott, are you bought and paid for?
Absolutely.
Are you bought and paid for?
Sorry?
Are you bought and paid
Absolutely not. I mean, here's what the American people deserve is a debate about the issues that affect their lives. Going back and forth being childish is not helpful to the American people to decide on the next leader of our country. Number one, wait a second. And number two, as a kid who grew up in a single-parent household mired in poverty, I wondered, was the American dream real for kids who were devastated by poverty, devastated by the challenges of life? I came to the conclusion that America can do for anyone what she's done for me if we focus on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting America. If we want the environment to be better, and we all do, the best thing to do is to bring our jobs home from China. If we create 10 million new jobs in my Made in America plan, we will have a better economy and a better environment. Let me tell you why I say that, Brett. America,
Do it quickly.
America has cut. I'm a Southern boy and talk slow. So America, that was quick. America has cut our carbon footprint in half in the last 25 years. The places where they are continuing to increase, Africa, 950 million people. India, over 1 billion. China, over 1 billion. Why would we put ourselves at a disadvantage? Devastating our own economy. Let's bring our jobs home.
We have a lot of different topics to get to.
Yeah, we do. We thank you all. Thank you, Senator Scott.
So, in other words, they have no plans to do anything about climate change. You will die if you let them stay in power.
The first Republican debate continues moments away.
Wait, they've got ad breaks? What's this shit?
Smarter in how we talk about women and how we show them that we care.
We're going to stand up for the unborn in Washington, D.C. And if you cannot do that, you should not be the nominee for the
We Republicans have gotten smarter about how we talk about women. What a
Do you trust our
quote.
government and where the economy is heading? Does
No.
the thought of losing your hard-earned retirement savings to DC's reckless spending scare the heck out of you?
No.
Well, you're not alone. Smart
No.
Americans are taking action while they still can
No.
by reaching out to Birch Gold Group.
No.
For over 20 years, Birch Gold has
No.
helped concerned Americans protect their futures
No.
by moving part of an existing IRA or 401k into a physical gold IRA. Because when things are a mess, like right now,
God,
Americans turn to
no.
gold. With
It's
an A+
fucking
rating,
gold.
With a Better Business Bureau and thousands of happy
Buy
customers,
gold, buy
Birch
gold,
is the
buy
trusted
gold,
leader in
buy gold,
They're busier
buy
than ever
gold,
because
boomers,
people
buy
are taking
gold, buy
control of
gold,
their
boomers,
savings
buy
away
it,
from
buy
the
it, buy
government and
gold.
into their own hands. Text the word now to the number 9890.
Do you know how I'm gonna get my gold, chat? Because I'm gonna have gold. I do think every, red-blooded American man should have, like, a hoard of gold somewhere. I'm gonna pan my gold out of a river. I'm in Washington State. I can find rivers that have gold panning. That's what I'm gonna do. And then I'm gonna also search for, like, sunken, like, shipwrecks off the coast of Florida and loot treasure chests. Like it's Assassin's Creed 4 ship diving wreck sequences. I wonder if there's gold on Mars. There definitely is gold on Mars. Like certainly there is, right? Yeah, some Spanish doubloons. Reals or whatever.
9898 to get a free info kit on gold. There's no pressure and no obligation, just information. So get your no-cost info kit now. Text now to 989898.
Have you ever wanted elite access? The Living Legend member.
Can we like skip through these ads? Okay. There we go.
Even in red states, there are more swing state referendums that are coming up as we head into the elections as well on this. So, Governor Haley, what do you say to your party and to your state, which today confirmed a 6-week abortion law as well, especially the impact on women
That
and suburban
effectively
voters
bans
across this
abortion,
country.
by the way.
Thank you, Martha. I am
The 6-week
unapologetically
bans?
pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children, so I'm surrounded by blessings. Having said that, we need to stop demonizing this issue. This is talking about the fact that unelected justices didn't need to decide something this personal, because it's personal for every woman and man. Now it's been put in the hands of the people. That's great. When it comes to a federal ban, let's be honest with the American people and say it will take 60 Senate votes. It will take a majority of the House. So in order to do that, let's find consensus. Can't we all agree that we should ban late-term abortions? Can't we all agree that we should encourage adoption?
There's no such thing as a late-term abortion. That's not real. There are no late-term abortions. That's not a thing. It's a made-up term, guys. The term late-term abortion, that's not a thing. It's called induced birth. If it's a baby, like if it's capable of coming out of the uterus and functioning on its own pre-birth, then you could consider it a baby, and that would just be a like early induced pregnancy, and that's what would or induced birth, right? Not induced pregnancy, induced birth, and yeah, like they don't do late term abortions, like. Yeah, and if there are, then it's almost always an emergency, yeah. And even when they do the induced birth, it's because of emergencies too. It's because it's like, oh, the baby's heart has stopped beating, we have to get it out now, and do like CPR or something. Like that kind of scenario is when they do the induced birth, which is like. It's just an insane made-up thing, like, because everybody agrees that, like, doing an abortion to, like, an 8.5-month-old fetus is monstrous, right? Like sticking a buzzsaw up there and, like, cutting it into pieces and then, like, slurping it out with a vacuum or something. Like, everyone agrees that would be fucking horrific. So that's why they talk about it, like, that's a super common thing. Like, these late-term abortions, you know, it's not a thing. Yeah.
That doctors and nurses who don't believe in abortion shouldn't have to perform them? Can't we all agree that contraception should be available?
They don't.
And can't we all agree that we are not going to put a woman...
Wait, doctors who don't believe in abortion shouldn't have to perform them? That's a specialty. What doctor would specialize in that field of medicine and have a moral opposition to it? And want to know, like, you're arguing the doctors should not have to do their job? None of it makes sense. I should stop trying to, like, find reason in anything they say. It's not meant to have any reason in it.
In jail or give her the death penalty if she gets an abortion. Let's treat this like a respectful issue that it is and humanize the situation and stop demonizing the situation.
Brett, Governor, you're not mentioned, Vice President Pence. Governor DeSantis, you signed a 6-week abortion ban in Florida. One of your biggest financial backers said that you need to, quote, shift to get moderates or you will lose. What do you say to him and others who say politically that
God,
is a
I love
tough
how
thing
much
to sell
Republicans
nationally?
are just tying
Well, I would
themselves
say we
to
sold
anti-abortion.
the biggest election landslide victory
They're
in the
killing
history of the
themselves
Republican Party in the
politically
state of
with
Florida in
Gen Z.
2022. That's what I did. We can win. But second of all, look, you got to do what you think is right. I believe in a culture of life. I was proud to sign the heartbeat bill. I remember one of the most impactful moments of my life was when I heard the heartbeat of my oldest daughter in my wife's womb and then saw the sonograms of all 3 of my kids. What the Democrats are trying to do on this issue is wrong, to allow abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. I know a lady in Florida named Penny.
Oh my God. He literally wants to ban induced birth. Abortion up to the point of birth. That's induced birth. That's literally emergency induced birth is what he wants to ban. That's what he's describing. Oh my God. Nope, no Fed posting.
She survived multiple abortion attempts. She was left discarded in a pan.
Survived
Fortunately, her
multiple
grandmother saved her
abortion
and brought her to a
attempts.
different hospital.
Oh my God, did he just say he has a friend who survived multiple abortion attempts? His grandmother found him in a pan and brought him to the hospital. The abortion attempt on my life has left me scarred and deformed. That is fucking insane. We need that movie. We need a movie about that. About, like, the girl who, like, induced a fucking miscarriage at, like, 8.5 weeks and gives birth to this, like, half stillborn, barely alive, like, baby fetus into, like, a frying pan and leaves it under the bed for a day. The grandma finds it and is disgusted by it, so takes it to, like, a foster home or like to like an orphanage, and then it grows up and realizes it has superpowers and it ends up being a superhero, and this is the new Marvel character backstory. Hire me, Disney.
Better than what the Democrats are selling. We are not going to allow abortion all the way up till birth, and we will hold them accountable for their extremism.
But just to be clear, Governor, would you sign a 6-week ban federally?
I'm going to stand on the side of life. Look, I understand Wisconsin is going to
Answer
do
the
different
question.
than Texas. I
The
understand
answer is
Iowa
yes.
and New Hampshire are going to do different. But I will support the cause of life as governor and as president.
Vice President Pence, you're shaking your head. Hold on, Senator. Vice President Pence, you're shaking your head.
Well, look, I'm not new to this cause. After I gave my life to Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, I opened up the book and I read,
Jesus.
Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And see, I set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life. And I knew from that moment on, the cause of life had to be my cause. And I've been a champion for life in the Congress, a champion for life as governor and as vice president. And to be honest with you, Nikki, you're my friend, but consensus is the opposite of leadership. When the Supreme Court returned this question to the American people, they didn't just send it to the states only. It's not a states only issue, it's a moral issue. And I promise you, as President of the United States, the American people will have a champion for life in the Oval Office. Can't we have a minimum standard in every state in the nation that says when a baby is capable of feeling pain, an abortion cannot be allowed? A 15-week ban is an idea whose time has come. It's supported by 70% of the American people, but it's going to take unapologetic leadership that stands on principle and expresses compassion for women in crisis pregnancies. I'll do that as President of the United States.
He called my name, so I will respond to that. 30 seconds. So first of all, I will say it is in the hands of the people, and
They
that's
are
where it
fucking
should be. But when
themselves
you're
on the
talking about a
abortion
federal
issue.
ban, be
They
honest
can't
with
let
the
it
American
go.
people. We haven't had 45 pro-life senators in over 100 years, so no Republican president can ban abortions any more than a Democrat president could ban all those state laws. Don't make women feel like they have to decide on this issue when you know we don't have 60 Senate votes in the House.
70% of the American people support legislation to ban abortion after a baby is capable of experiencing pain. It's just going to take leadership.
Hold on. 70% of the Senate does not. You have to be honest with the American people.
What is the definition of feeling pain in that?
But the Supreme
Because at 15 weeks, there's no brain yet. There's just like a spinal cord, right? Like the beginning of a spinal cord and like some semblance of the proto-nervous system. So feeling pain would just be like the ability to like feel a stimuli of some kind and like nerve endings going off of some kind that indicate there's input. There's no like brain there processing that input though. It's not an experience being had. It's just like there are nerves that are firing off in response to stimuli. That's all nerves are. But you have to remember, these people literally believe magic is real. So they believe like the soul has activated at that point once the heartbeat is there or some shit like that.
Court did overturn Roe v. Wade. And the result of that decision was that it went back to the states. So that's where it is right now. So as I understand it, you are not in favor of a federal ban. What do you say about the states, there's about 5 of them, including New Jersey, I think a few others, that allow abortion up until the time of birth, though? If you were president, would you be able to abide that?
Well, first of all, I'm a pro-life governor of a very pro-life state. And this issue is, of course, very important. But I am on the record, and I stand behind, that we should not have a federal abortion ban. We should not. And the reason why we shouldn't is very simple. It's the 10th Amendment in the Constitution. In the Constitution, which the states created the federal government, not the other way around, it says that there were certain duties allowed to the federal government delegated to them by the states.
Yeah, this guy's a
rest are
far
left
less
to the
radical
states,
conservative.
more importantly, or to the
He's
people.
trying to appeal to
We
like
need
the
get back to
disaffected
freedom
by
and liberty
Trump
for the
crowd.
people in this country. And we can't have Republicans
Fair
who
amount of
fought for
claps,
50
too.
years for this great cause to return it back to the states, and then the next day they turn around and go, no, the feds should do that, because the feds are stepping into people's lives, they're stepping into people's businesses over and over. If we say that the feds should be in on this one, where do we stop? I say that we follow the Constitution, and this is returned to the states. This is where it should be.
Governor Burgum, you signed a 6-week ban. Time out. You signed a 6-week ban. Governor Burgum, you signed a 6-week ban. So you're saying federally, it's all going to go to the states.
Yes, and what is going to work in New York will never work in North Dakota, and vice versa. That's why 50 states. That's why 50 states.
This is too important of an issue that I have to address. First of all,
this guy's accent is just over the top.
Or whether it's the United States Congress.
I just can't handle it.
And that's why President Biden is pushing for a Democrat proposal, which is, in essence, abortion
I
on
cannot
demand
imagine
through
this
the term.
man
So
being
they
the
have
president
their extreme
of the
position
United
at
States.
a national level. It's most likely going to be addressed in the states, but it's certainly fine for it to be addressed at the national level as well. Arkansas has the record of being the most pro-life state in the nation. I signed 30 pro-life pieces of legislation while I was governor. And every state can determine a different outcome here. And it is the most important issue for women and for the unborn child and for our country that we get this right. It's going to be a continued debate. Let's talk about it in terms of compassion, in terms of protecting the life, and also understanding how we have to enhance adoption services, how we have to enhance maternal care. Those things we've done in Arkansas and are important for our nation's future.
There are a lot of issues that are very important. Senator, I'll let you weigh in.
We cannot let states like California, New York, and Illinois have abortions on demand up until the day of birth. That is immoral. It is unethical.
Like, once again, by the way, like a abortion that happens once the fetus is capable of living on its own without being inside the uterus is a induced birth where they do everything possible to keep the baby alive. And it's usually done as an emergency measure to save both the mom and the baby. Like, it's like they're literally just lying. Yeah, they're just evil. They're just evil. They're saying whatever to have justification to take your rights away. They're evil through and through. Pure evil. Demonic. They're monsters. Bring salt with you if you ever have to engage with them. Gemma Giraffe, thank you for the $10 super chats. This is great content. Thanks for the stream, Zan. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Any financial support you guys have is always very much appreciated. God, it is pretty late. Maybe I should order some food because I'm gonna be real. I've got nothing at home to eat right now. I've got to order groceries. Oh boy, what is Popeyes gonna think when they see me order from them twice in the same day? They're gonna be like, this guy does not know to buy groceries on time. Oh shit, what? No, my place is, oh no. Well, I'm not eating tonight. Fuck me. It's like I'm not eating tonight. Alright. I waited till too late. Nothing's open. No, nothing's delivering. Yeah, I should have ordered groceries sooner. It sucks. No, like, no. I don't have anything, is what I mean. Like, I don't have bread. I don't have any food. I ran out of groceries. I've been ordering food the last couple days. So yeah. No dinner tonight. Nothing is open. BS, it's only 10 p.m. I'll look around, but I'd have to probably wrap up stream so I can go get my wallet and type in my payment info on some new site for a new restaurant. Go to Safeway? I'm not walking to Safeway through a not so great neighborhood in the middle of the fucking night at 10:30 p.m. No. Have I set up treat stream? Oh, I should have done that, but no, I haven't. No, I haven't done that. It's okay, guys. I can wait till tomorrow morning. It's not too bad. I ate before stream. I should have kept an eye on the time. It happens to me pretty often where I'm like up at night and it's like, fuck, I've got no food. I need to order something. It's like, oh, it's 2 a.m. Fuck. I'm not very good at shopping, guys. Like for groceries. I'm still learning how to do that well. Okay, let's resume.
Ethical, it is wrong. We must have a president of the United States who will advocate and fight for, at the minimum, a 15-week limit. I'm 100% pro-life conservative. I have a 100% pro-life record.
McDonald's might be open, but I'd have to go get my wallet and type in my payment info off stream. I'd have to end stream.
Our Declaration of Independence says our Creator gave us inalienable rights that include life.
Is my stuff already
That is
typed in on
list- that is an
McDonald's?
issue
Maybe.
we
Hold on, let me check. Able to stomach tomato soup? Why are you guys asking me random questions? Do you guys think I have these things in my cupboard or something? If I had food, I would eat it, okay? I'm just gonna wait till tomorrow. I've got groceries coming tomorrow. Unless I can... Let's see, is McDonald's? Most of these places don't accept PayPal as a payment thing. Can I get... One sec. Okay. Wait, yeah, I think I can. No! Wait, come on. Let me refresh and... Come on. Please work. No. It just straight up says there's nothing here. Like, it straight up gives me error code 404 when I try to load the McDonald's by my house. It's error code 404ing me DoorDash's. Let me try searching it. Okay, this might work. Let me try this. Okay, this should work. Why do they orient the menu like this? Oh, okay, you just gotta scroll down and you can see. French fry. Large. I like large fry. We'll go with that. And then we'll get nuggies. We'll get a 10-piece nuggie. And we'll get honey mustard. And another honey mustard? Nice. Check out. Okay. Is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? It worked. Okay. Okay, it looks like we're good. You a good tipper, Zan? Yes, I always tip the maximum amount. Okay. All right, we're good. Food is on its way. We can resume. I am not going to go to bed hungry.
We can't leave it to Minnesota. We can't leave it to Illinois. We must solve that issue with a 15-week limit at a minimum.
Brett, I think we're all pro-life, but what I would love is for someone to ask Biden and Kamala Harris, are they for 38 weeks? Are they for 39 weeks? Are they for 40 weeks? Because that's what the media needs to be asking.
All right, another issue is America and the crime crisis, the homelessness crisis. American cities are in decline. People are moving out as homelessness, drugs, crime move in. There are problems accelerated. They did accelerate during the pandemic and are still rising, actually.
Murders in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, all up 30% between 2019 and 2022. Homelessness is up 11%, the largest jump in recorded history. Vice President Pence, a lot of this began in the COVID era. How much of what we're seeing?
All right, how are they going to demonize homeless people?
Is a result of those COVID
or how are they going to
lockdowns,
demonize Democrats with homeless people?
Well, I think what's in part to blame is the Democrats have been talking about defunding for the last 5 years. And we ought to be funding law enforcement, particularly in our major cities, at unprecedented levels.
God,
it's
I really
extraordinary
called
to think
it.
about the violence that's claiming innocent lives literally every week in every major city in this country. And yet Democrats and liberal prosecutors in major metropolitan areas continue to work out their fanciful agendas, to do bail reform and go easy. What we need is strong commitment to law enforcement. We need leadership in Washington, D.C. that'll marshal the resources of the states, marshal the resources of the American people. But let me also say it's about opportunity. I mean, a lot of people don't know that those Trump-Pence tax cuts that we got signed into law go away at the end of 2025 if we don't have a Republican president and a Republican House and a Republican Senate. When I'm president of the United States, we're actually going to cut taxes further. We're going to extend those tax cuts, and we're going to close the federal Department of Education, block grant all that funding back to the states with a growing economy and educational choice and law enforcement.
God, this is like a Hitler
Governor
speech.
Christie, another issue. This weekend here in Milwaukee,
We're
reports
going
say
to
there were 30
destroy the
shootings,
Department of
and
Education.
a number of them including
Yay.
kids. Add that to the big increase in
They
school
always say
shootings
when,
around the
yeah.
country. Democrats blame this crisis on easy access to guns. They also blame Republicans for blocking gun control legislation. What would President Christie do?
You know, I'm proud of the fact, Brett, that I'm the only person along with Governor Hutchinson up on this stage who's actually run a United States Attorney's Office. I ran the 5th largest office in America in a state where
they have
there
the
is
market on
significant
being
urban crime.
pro-gun.
And the problem
They
is not
have
going to
the
be
pro-gun
solved
market.
by more money. The problem is that these prosecutors in these localities in the states are refusing to do their job and to arrest violent criminals. So what President Christie would do is appoint an attorney general who would instruct each of the 93 U.S. attorneys that they are to take over the prosecution of violent crime in every one of those cities that are failing to do so. We have plenty of room in the federal prisons to lock up these violent criminals and clean up what's going on all across this country in these individual cities. Secondly, what we need to make sure that each and every one of these criminals understand is that the laws apply to everybody. And when Hunter Biden fills out a fake application, a false application for a gun permit, and then is facing a 10-year mandatory minimum, which was mandated by legislation sponsored by his father, and then you have a Justice Department that walks away from those
Wait, why would he
charges,
fill out a
we're telling
false
people that the law
gun
doesn't apply to everybody.
permit?
In a Christie administration,
What?
he would go to jail for 10 years.
What about a President Ramaswamy? What does a President Ramaswamy do about guns?
So the
A
reality
false
is we have a
gun
crime wave in this
permit?
country, and we know how to fix it. The
If
question
you
is,
wanted
do we
to get it
actually have the
illegally,
spine to do it? More cops in the street.
If he wanted to illegally get a gun, why wouldn't he just illegally get a gun? Why would he get a false permit? Are they like, did he like make a mistake filling out the form for like the ATF form you have to fill out when you buy a gun, and like they had to like give it back to him to refill out because he put in some piece of info wrong on accident, and the right's like saying he did it illegally? I think it was because he was addicted to illegal drugs and shit. Oh yeah, because you're not allowed to. Yeah, like if you smoke weed or whatever, you're not allowed to have guns or whatever. Yeah. At least if you have like a medical card. I promise you, that is definitely splitting hairs by most gun enthusiasts' standard.
Streets who are on the streets able to do their jobs without looking over their shoulder for getting sued. And we also have a mental health epidemic in this country. Just over the same period that we have closed mental health institutions, we have seen a spike in violent crime. Do we have the spine to bring them back? I think we should. As president, I will. But it's not just drugging up people in those psychiatric institutions with Zoloft and Seroquel. It's a deeper issue. I think faith-based approaches can play a role here, too. We're in the middle of a national identity crisis. And I say this as a member of my generation. The problem in our country right now, the reason we have that mental health epidemic, is that people are so hungry for purpose and meaning at a time when family, faith, patriotism, hard work have all disappeared. What we really need is a tonal reset from the top, saying that this is what it means to be an American. Yes, we will stand for the rule of law. Yes, we will close the southern border where criminals are coming in every day. And yes, we will back law enforcement because we remember who we really are. And that's also how we address that mental health epidemic in the next generation that is directly leading to violent crime across this country.
Illegal immigration is making people mentally ill.
We're not looking for a new national identity. The American people are the most faith-filled, freedom-loving, idealistic, hardworking people the world has ever known. We just need government as good as our people.
Well, Mike, I think the difference is you might have, some others that like you may have on the stage, it's Morning in America speech. It is not Morning in America. We live in a dark moment, and we have to confront the fact that we're in an internal, sort of cold cultural civil war.
You are
and we have to
equating the
recognize
American
that
people with the
actually
failed
win.
government in Washington, D.C. We just need government as good as our people again.
So let me just finish addressing that slogan because I don't know what that slogan means. We need to shut down the administrative state. That's actually how we translate.
Crime has been on the rise in Florida, Governor DeSantis. How do you stop crime?
Well, actually, crime's at a 50-year low in Florida. We're happy with that. Well, the statewide, it's a 50-year low. And so here's the thing. These hollowed-out cities, this is a symptom
Crime's been
of
dropping
America's
consistently
decline. And one of the
everywhere.
biggest reasons is because you have George Soros funding these radical left-wing district
George
attorneys.
So-
They get into office.
Okay,
and
so
they
he's
say
going
they're not
full
gonna
Nazi.
prosecute
Okay.
crimes. They disagree with the inmates start
That's
running the
consistent.
asylum. There's one guy in this entire country
He's just
that's
doing
ever
full
done
Nazi.
anything about
Cool.
that. Me. When
Good
we had
news.
2 of these district attorneys in Florida elected with Soros funding who said they wouldn't do their job, I removed them from their posts. They are gone. And as president, As president, we are going to go after all of these people because they are hurting
George
the quality of life
Soros.
and they are victimizing innocent people in every corner of this country, and it will stop when I get into office.
Okay, one more here before the break, Governor Brogan.
Are we JQing now? Yeah, he's
You
JQing.
asked your question about the problems we're having in big cities. Nobody ever asked the question of what about the crime wave in small towns? Because in a small town,
Like, for those who don't know, American Nazis do consider Florida to be their state at this point. Like, when you see neo-Nazis online talking about Florida, they consider it to be their fortress state. Like, that's their place. Like, that is the place where they have won, and they've, like, achieved what they want. Or they're on the way to it, effectively, you know? So, like, they... like, you see Nazis on the internet, and they love LARPing about, like, being Floridian, even though they're not. Like, they'll be from, like, fucking Wisconsin or some shit like that. But their, like, profile picture is, like, a Groyper wearing, like, the Groyper Pepe wearing, like, a Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses. And it's, like, supposed to be in Miami or some shit. You guys have seen it, right? Like, the white boy summer, like, Floridian white nationalist Zoomer Nazi kids. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's a big new trend.
neighbors help neighbors. People understand each other. If a farmer gets sick, everybody comes together and helps him get the crop off. There's accountability, there's transparency. One thing that I think this country could use is somebody in the White House that understands small town values, because that's our road back to get this country on track again.
Governor Hutchinson?
Was former head of the DEA. I understand the drug crisis in
I
America.
love this guy.
And right now, whenever
I hate
you
him,
look at
but
the
I love
challenges in
how
inner city,
stereotypically
there's
Southern
three simple
his
words that would
accent
be helpful.
is.
One, enforce the law when it comes to crime. Secondly, let's deal with the challenge of fentanyl. And it's both about stopping the fentanyl coming from Mexico, but it's also about education of our young people, making sure that we have the tools that are needed for addiction counseling. That's what we expanded in Arkansas as well. Whenever you look at the underlying challenge of America, though, no one likes to see an America with smash and grab in our inner cities. As President of the United States, that will stop. It starts at the top with the respect for our justice system that a former president who's under indictment has undermined by attacking judges, by attacking prosecutors, by attacking the system and saying he's aggrieved. And so we have to have respect for our justice system and the rule of law.
They got to get Trump's dick out of these people's throats.
Let me take a break.
So they'll support someone other than Trump. So few claps because he shit on Trump.
President Donald Trump will be processed tomorrow. So next, the candidates will have an opportunity to talk about the coming trials of Donald Trump.
People are booing. Okay, we're not watching the ads. We're not watching the ads. Hold on. Let me check my food really fast. It's on its way. Okay. Let me skip ahead a bit. Okay.
Prepared? Hey, it's Cade Courtley, former Navy SEAL.
More gold.
Choice. Please
okay.
raise your hand if you would.
What's this question now?
Hold on. So just be clear, Governor Christie, you were kind of late to the game there, but you raised your hand?
No, I'm doing this. Look, I'm doing this.
And I know you didn't.
Whoa. No. Look, here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct. Okay? Now whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
Damn, people are turning on Trump, at least here. To be fair, this
country.
Trump's not here, so no Trump supporters are here.
Booing is allowed, but it doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change the truth.
Oh, there are the Trump supporters. Never mind.
No, I'd like to get in and respond. Let's just speak the truth, okay? President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century. It's a fact. And Chris Christie, honest to God, your claim that Donald Trump is motivated
Never mind.
by vengeance and grievance.
Trump's still the crowd pleaser.
If your entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one man, and if people at home...
He's dick riding his competition here.
Donald Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country, they could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. I am running for president of the United States.
He's literally
We're
Ben
skating on thin ice,
Shapiro.
and we cannot set a precedent where the party in power uses police force to indict its political opponents. It is wrong. We have to end the weaponization of justice in this country.
30 seconds, Governor DeSantis.
Trump, this guy is a fucking,
You sit here in an answer. You sit here in an answer. You sit here in an answer.
he's a dick rider, big time.
Hold on, Governor Christie. Well, so listen, the more time we spend doing this, the less time they can talk about issues you want to talk about. So let's just get through this section. Governor Christie.
You sit here talking about how you want to stand up for the rule of law.
Yes.
And law and order. And the fact is that it can't be selective. In your book, you had much different things to say about Donald Trump than you're saying here tonight.
That's not true.
Well, it is very true.
That is not
It's
true.
very true. I read it, and
Because
I
there's a
know.
difference
Look,
between bad behavior and illegal
by the way,
behavior, Chris, and you as a
by the way,
prosecutor should know better.
You know what? I know a lot
There's
better.
a difference between bad behavior.
I know a lot better than you do. You've never done it like you've never done anything to try to advance the interests of this government except to put yourself forward as a candidate tonight. And here's the thing. We've stood up for law and order. I did it as U.S. attorney. I did it as governor. And I am not going to bow to anyone when we have a president of the United States who disrespects the Constitution. He said, Martha, it's important to say that the president said, Donald Trump said, it's okay to suspend the Constitution. Now, the oath you take is to preserve, protect, and defend, not suspend. I will always stand up for our Constitution, regardless of the political pressure.
We have another question for you. We're going to get everyone in on
The
this
Constitution.
issue. I have another question. Hold on, you will.
I mean, the writer is unconstitutional as it
President
gets.
Trump's former
Let me check
vice
my
president
feed.
is on this stage tonight. He has faced hecklers on the campaign
it's here.
trail over his actions on January the 6th.
Okay, Cherry, you'll have to edit this bit out while I go get my food. I shall be back.
Hello, chat.
Important, relevant poll before I continue. You guys love making me click on links when I've got a game open. Feel what they tell you is true. Oh my god. Among Republicans... Holy shit. Among Trump's voters, 71% feel that what Trump tells them is true. 63% believe what friends and family tell them. 56% believe what conservative media figures other than Trump tell them. And 42% trust religious figures. They trust Trump at a rate of 71% above family and friends, conservative media figures, and religious leaders. He is literally their God King. He is actually literally their God King. 42%, you say? Jesus. Okay. Calm down.
On that day, the vice president moved forward with the certification of the election. So do you believe that Mike Pence did the right thing, Senator Scott? Do you believe he did the right thing?
Absolutely. He did the right thing. Number one. Number two. We should be asking ourselves a bigger question about the weaponization of the Department of Justice. When I'm president, the first thing I'll do is fire Merrick Garland. Second thing I'll do, fire Christopher Wray, because we need Lady Justice to wear a blindfold. Without that, no one has confidence in our justice system. 17% of Republicans have confidence
Fire
in
everybody
our
who
Department of
dares
Justice. Here's why. We
to hold
keep
the president
seeing
accountable.
Not only the weaponization of the Department of Justice against political opponents, but also against parents who show up at school board meetings. They're called, under this DOJ, they're called domestic terrorists.
Firing Christopher Wray to shut down the FBI. Actually have the courage to get it right.
Do you think that's the case? That parents that show up at school board meetings are being called domestic terrorists by the DOJ for no reason? Do you think that's true? Or do you think maybe he's completely full of shit?
Let me finish my comments.
Yes.
Not only that, in addition to that, we see the SWAT team show up at pro-life activist homes with guns drawn because this DOJ uses their power, uses their authority, not just against political opponents, but against conservatives and conservative causes. It is time for a change in America, and I will bring that change to the greatest nation on God's green earth.
We have an important
But Governor
question still to
DeSantis, do you
answer.
believe that Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th?
So here's what we need to do. We need to end the weaponization of these federal agencies.
Right, but
I will do that.
That's not the question.
I know, but here's the thing.
answer the
This
question?
election is not about
He's just not
January
answering their
6th
questions.
of
He's got his canned
2021.
responses.
It's about January 20th of 2025 when the next president is going to take office. I know what the Democrats would like to do. They want to talk about all these other issues, but we've got to focus on your future. We've got to focus on reversing the decline of our country. I learned in the military, I was assigned with U.S. Navy SEALs in Iraq, that you focus on the mission above all else. You can't get distracted. So
Remember, Ron DeSantis' talking points have already leaked. No matter what questions he's asked, he has been told to find a way to bring it back around to specific strong points that his team thinks he has. So he's literally like not answering the questions and just he's answering a different question than what was asked because that's what's in his notes.
Republicans, we've got to look forward, and we've got to make
That's what his
sure
handlers
that
told
we're
him to do.
writing the message that can win in November 2024.
Vice President Pence,
What do you think, Vice President, is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States? I think the American people deserve to know whether everyone on this stage agrees that I kept my oath to the Constitution that day. There's no more important duty. So answer the question.
I've answered this before.
So yes.
Why are we? Mike did his duty. I got no beef with him. But here's the thing: is this what we're going to be focusing on
I'm relieved.
going forward? The rehashing of this? I'll tell you,
Governor
the
DeSantis,
Democrats would love that, and they will win if we let it get away.
God, this country is fucked. It really, really is.
Let me just say, Governor DeSantis, we spent an hour talking about policy. Former President Trump is beating you by 30, 40 points in many polls. So it is a factor in the GOP primary. Governor Hutchinson,
yes, he is.
You did not raise your hand.
I did not raise my hand because there's an important issue we as a party have to face. And over a year ago, I said that Donald Trump was morally disqualified from being president.
It's like crazy because Donald Trump alone is literally pulling in polling as well as all of them combined. And a little bit better than all of them combined. Like, this is like a bunch of fucking ants talking about how they're gonna take down a literal giant.
President again as a result of what happened on January 6th. More people are understanding the importance of that, including conservative legal scholars who says he may be disqualified under the 14th Amendment from being president again as a result of the insurrection. This is something that could disqualify him under our rules and under the Constitution. And so
all those boos. All those boos, dude.
obviously, I'm not going to support somebody who's been convicted of a serious felony or who is disqualified under our Constitution, and that's consistent with RNC rules, and I hope everybody would agree with me.
Martha, can I answer the question?
Can I get in on that?
Okay, I'd like to answer.
I've already been on it, Vice President Pence.
All right, I'd like to answer the question you asked and not give a pre-canned speech. Mike Pence stood for the Constitution, and he deserves not grudging credit. He deserves our thanks as Americans for putting his oath of office and the Constitution of the United States before personal, political, and unfair pressure. And the argument...
No, Vosh is just generally more careful about DMCA than he really needs to be. He's a little overly cautious. I don't blame him. He played like 2 seconds of Giorno's theme from, I think it was Giorno's theme, from like, that one show, The anime, what's it called? JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. And I think he got like 2 seconds of that got him copyright striked once, but this won't get you. Sam Cedar and David Packman watched it live. It's all good.
That we need to have in this party before we can move on to the issues that Ron talked about is we have to dispense with the person who said that we need to suspend the Constitution to put forward his political career. Mike Pence said no, and he deserves credit for it.
Okay, Governor Haley, we haven't heard from you on this. Do you agree? Do you agree that Vice President Pence did the right thing that day or not?
I do think that Vice President Pence did the right thing, and I do think that we need to give him credit for that. But what I will also tell you is, look, I mean, when it comes to whether President Trump should serve or not, I trust the American people. Let them vote. Let them decide. But what they will tell you is that it is time for a new generational conservative
Get Ramaswamy
leader.
to come on and play 2B. That'd be fun.
3/4 of Americans don't want a rematch between Trump and Biden. And we have to face the fact that Trump is the most disliked politician in America. We can't win a general election that way.
Governor Bergen?
Governor Bergen?
Give Governor Bergen an opportunity.
Happy to
I
answer
like
the
how you
question.
could
Mike
hear the
Pence did right
booze,
thing on January
but the
6th.
cheering
But I would
for
say you
Trump is
started
the
on
most
top of this
disliked
hour saying we're gonna
politician
talk
in
about
America.
China, Ukraine, education,
overpowered
New
the
China is the number one threat to our
booze.
country, and every minute that these 8 candidates spend talking about the past.
The boos are loud, but the cheers for anti-Trump things, even among this GOP crowd, are louder. The Republicans are very good at, on their own, looking like they're big, like there's a lot of them, you know, and looking like they have a lot of influence and like they're in the right. But it's all just loud bark. There is no bite to it.
Said about the future is time that is just you know who loves it? Biden loves it, but China loves it when we're talking about the past.
Okay, as promised, we were going to spend a few questions on it, let people say what they wanted to say, and now, indeed, we are moving on to the subject.
The U.S. has committed nearly 77.
Can I speak on this issue? I was
You
kind of
did.
involved.
You answered on this.
You did
You did
say
answer.
something.
Yeah.
We thought you were done, but you
No, I
please.
wasn't done.
Well, Mike, why don't you say this? Join me in making a commitment that on day one you would pardon Donald Trump. I'm the only candidate on the stage who had the courage to actually say it. That is how we move our nation forward
I don't know
and
why
turn the
you
page
assume
forward.
that
That's
Donald
exactly
Trump
right.
will be convicted of these crimes.
You should be able to make a commitment. The same justice system that was this
There's
corrupt.
a difference between you and me.
Yeah, I'm not a professional politician. That's the difference. You can answer a question.
I've actually given pardons when I was governor of the state of Indiana. It usually follows a finding of guilt and contrition by the individual that's been convicted. So, look, if I'm president of the United States, we'll give fair consideration to any pardon request. But if I may...
No one can pardon Trump.
You know, it's not about looking back at January 2021. It's about January 20th, 2017. I put my left hand on Ronald Reagan's Bible. I raised my right hand. And I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And it ended with a prayer, so help me God. It was a promise that I made to the American people, but I also made it to my Heavenly Father. Every day for 4 years, I sought to keep that oath. And everyone on this stage needs to make it clear whether or not they'll do the same if they earn this job and the confidence of the American people. Now, look, I've made it clear. I had hoped that the issues surrounding the 2020 election and the controversies around January 6th had not come to this, had not come to criminal proceedings. I would rather they had been resolved by the American people and the American people alone. But no one's above the law. And President Trump is entitled to the presumption of innocence that every American is entitled to, and we will make sure and extend that to him. But the American people deserve to know that the president
The American
asked
people
me
have seen the evidence.
in his request that I reject or return votes unilaterally, power that no vice president in American history had ever exercised or taken. He asked me to put him
Innocent
over the
until proven
Constitution.
guilty doesn't apply
And,
in the
I chose
court
the
of public
Constitution,
opinion.
and I always will. I had no
Vice
right to
President Pence.
overturn the election, and Kamala Harris will have no right to overturn the election when we beat them in 2024.
Thank you, Vice President Pence. Now we are moving on to other issues. The U.S. has committed nearly $77 billion in aid to the Ukraine war. The administration is now asking Congress for $24 billion more. Regardless of that, the specifics of that plan, is there anyone on stage who would not support the increase of more funding to Ukraine?
We would
not support it.
Europe needs to step up. I mean, I would have Europe step up and do their job.
Mr. Ramaswamy, but you're saying you would not too, Governor DeSantis?
I will have Europe pull their weight. Right now, they're not doing that.
would not support
and I think we need to do. And I think
That
our
is true.
support
Europe
should be
isn't pulling their weight
contingent on them
with
doing
pretty
it.
much
And I
anything.
would have support in China
Across
to
the
be
board.
able to be able to take China and do what we need to do with China.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you would not support an increase of funding to Ukraine?
I would not. And I think that this is disastrous, that we are protecting against an invasion
Europe needs to do more.
border when we should use
And-
those same
and
military
of everything.
resources to prevent across the
That
invasion
is
of our own
good.
southern border here in the United States of America. We are driving Russia further into China's
Yeah, the country of
hands.
Europe
The
needs to step up their
Russia-China
game,
alliance
seriously.
Is the single greatest threat we face, and I find it offensive that we have professional politicians on the stage that will make a pilgrimage to Kyiv, to their Pope, Zelensky, without doing the same thing for people in Maui or the south side of Chicago or Kensington. I think that we have to put the interests of Americans first, secure our own border instead of somebody else's. And the
March to
reality is,
Kyiv
this
to
is also
pray
how
to
we
their
project
Pope
strength by making
Zelensky.
America strong at home.
All right, we heard the names. Governor Christie first.
All right, look, I did go to Ukraine, and I went to Ukraine because I wanted to see for myself what Vladimir Putin's army was doing to the free Ukrainian people. And let me tell you, I want you all to look around this arena tonight and imagine that every one of these seats was filled. And if every one of them was filled, there would still be 2,500 more children outside to make over 20,000 who have been abducted, stolen, ripped from their mothers and fathers, and brought back to Russia to be programmed to fight their own families. They have gouged out people's eyes, cut
Okay, this is pretty based.
off their ears, and shot people in the back of
He's
the head.
not
men,
pro-Russia by
and
the
then
looks
gone
of
into
things.
those homes and raped the daughters and the wives who were left as widows and orphans.
What he's describing right now is exactly what the Russian military has been doing in large scale in Ukraine. Like, he's completely in the right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's part of that, like, political side of the right that isn't pro-Russia. This doesn't make him, like, a good person or, like, worth supporting. It's just, you know, it's unique these days to see a Republican that's not, like, very clearly bought and sold to Russia.
This is the Vladimir Putin. This is the Vladimir Putin who Donald Trump called brilliant and a genius. If we don't stand up against this type of autocratic killing in the world, we will be next.
Hang on. You were mentioned.
Governor Haley, we'll come back.
Vice President Pence was mentioned. You get 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, let me be clear. Anybody that thinks that we can't solve the problems here in the United States and be the leader of the free world has a pretty small view of the greatest nation on earth.
That is incorrect.
We can do both, Vivek. We've done both. We've been the leader of the free world and the arsenal of democracy for years. The Reagan Doctrine years ago made it clear. We said, if you're willing to fight the communists on your soil, we'll give you the means to fight them there so our troops don't have to fight them. Vivek, if we do the giveaway that you want to give to Putin to give him his land, it's not going to be too long before he rolls across a NATO border, and frankly, our men and women of our armed forces are going to have to go and fight him. I want to let the Ukrainians fight and drive Putin and the Russians back out into Russia.
So this is why they're so upset. It's because right now, Ukraine is neutral, which means that we cannot send them any boots in the ground, like American soldier support. No one can. However, if they join NATO and Russia has, like, or if Russia does start marching troops into NATO territories, then there may be an expectation for the U.S. to actually contribute troops. And that's what he's talking about right now, for those that are curious.
Briefly address Pence, Vice President Pence. I have a newsflash. The USSR does not exist anymore. It
Ukraine.
fell back in 1990. The real threat, you talked about the communists, and the real communist that we have to address right now
have any idea what Vladimir Putin's aims are?
You already spoke. Now I actually have something to say.
Vladimir Putin has been saying he wants to reestablish the old Soviet sphere
You've made
of
your point,
influence.
Vice President.
Now, I'm sorry if I insulted him by calling him a communist. He is a dictator and a murderer, and the United States of America needs to stand against authoritarianism.
Mr. Ramaswamy, 30 seconds.
The real threat we face today is communist China, and we are driving Russia further into China's arms. The Russia-China military alliance is the single greatest threat we face. Nobody in either political party is talking about it, and I am the only
No one's talking about it. Also, Russia and China are starting to get at odds with each other. They're not getting along right now.
Will never be in NATO, and then somehow China will not think about taking Taiwan. We achieve peace through strength.
Mr. Vice President.
America needs to stand for freedom.
Okay, here we go.
I think we need to reestablish some ground rules
When
here,
we
folks.
hear this bell,
Yes.
that means your time's done. So, Mr. Vice President, we appreciate your aggressiveness here. 30 seconds is 30 seconds. Mr. Ramaswamy, you were mentioned. You get 30 seconds.
So the reality is that today, Ukraine is not a priority security for the United States of America. And I think that the same people who took us into the Iraq War, the same people who took us into the Vietnam War, you cannot end it. You cannot start another no-win war. And I do not want to get to the point where we're sending our military resources abroad when we could be better using them here at home to protect our own borders, protect the homeland.
All right.
That will be my top priority in foreign policy.
We gave you
protect
more
this
than the 30
homeland.
seconds in the rebuttal. So I do want to get to some other people because everybody, we respect everybody's time here. So, Governor Haley, you did not raise your hand, meaning that you would support more funding for the Ukraine war. You have said of Governor DeSantis that you didn't appreciate it when he initially called it a territorial.
He says protect our own, but he wants the poor to starve. That goes without saying.
Needs to have moral
It's
clarity.
just
they need to know the difference
it's just a
between
virtue
right
signal.
and wrong. They need to know the difference between good and evil.
It means
when
nothing.
you look
Moral,
at the situation with Russia and Ukraine,
moral
here you have a
nothingness.
pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5% of our defense budget has been given to Ukraine. If you look at the percentages per GDP, 11 of the European countries have given more than the U.S. But what's really important is go back to when China and Russia held hands, shook hands before the Olympics, and named themselves unlimited partners. A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that. Ukraine is the first line of defense for us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is he wants to hand Ukraine to Russia. He wants to let China eat Taiwan.
She is correct about that.
Funding Israel. You don't do that to friends. What you do instead is you have the backs of your friends. Ukraine is the front line of defense. Putin has said, once Russia takes Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying to prevent war. Look at what Putin did today. He killed Prigozhin. When I was at the UN, the Russian ambassador suddenly died. This guy is a murderer, and you are choosing a murderer over a pro-American country.
That went hard. She actually did well there.
First of all, Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 30 seconds. Mr. DeSantis,
Nikki, I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
I'm not on the
fact of the matter,
Raytheon. And you
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this lie. You've been pushing this lie all week,
You want
Nikki.
to go and defund Israel? You want to
okay, let me address that. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician. There you have it.
God, they're like trying to battle on who has the worst takes. That's the funny thing about it. It's so bizarre to watch people battle over who has the worst takes.
Our relationship with Israel will never be stronger than by the end of my first term. But it's not a client relationship. It is a friendship. And you know what friends do? Friends help each other stand on their own 2 feet. So I will lead Abraham Accords 2.0. I will partner with Israel to make sure Iran never is nuclear armed. But you know what I love about Israel? And I've been there probably in the last 10 years more than most people on this stage. You know what I love about them? I love their border policies. I love their tough on crime policies. I love that they have a national identity and an iron dome to protect their homeland. And so, yes, I want to learn from the friends that we're supporting. And what puzzles me, I want to learn from those and apply those.
Remember, guys, Israel's fascist. There's a reason fascists love Israel so much.
Governor DeSantis, you were mentioned in the territorial dispute. Not only...
No, it's not a territorial dispute
President
either.
of the United States, your first obligation is to defend our country and its people. And that means you're sending all this money, but you're not doing what we need to do to secure our own border. We have tens of thousands of people who are being killed because we're not handling both. And so I am going to declare it a national emergency. I'm not going to send troops to Ukraine, but I am going to send them to our southern border. When these drug pushers are bringing fentanyl across the border, that's going to be the last thing they do. We're going to use force, and we're going to leave them stone cold dead.
We're actually going to move on to China. We're going to talk about China.
Okay.
Governor Burgum. China has the biggest navy in the world, the biggest army in the world. Now they have warships off the coast of Alaska. They are threatening Taiwan. In coming years, China will have 1,500 nuclear warheads, it's believed. The U.S. just arrested 2 sailors accused of spying for China within our military. So the question is, how would you deter China as a president, Burgum?
Well, this is the #1 issue we're facing. And of course, we haven't been talking about it, and we act like that letting Russia win in Ukraine is like a gimme as opposed to a gift to China. Russia has become China's gas station. But how would we do it? The Biden administration is a complete fail. China imports 10 million barrels of oil a day, more than any other country in the world. They do not even have all the food they need to feed everybody in that country. So they don't have energy security or food security. But the Biden administration sends Blinken, Yellen over there. They're over there. They don't even bring up energy because they're too busy trying to kill the U.S. energy here. And what we need to do is not meetings, not press releases, because something that would send a lot more than a press release is actually Harpoon missiles. We need anti-ship missiles on Taiwan. The way that you have a war never start, which is the goal, the way you have peace through strength, is that you actually have strength. You actually have deterrence. And what we have in what we've got going on in Ukraine is an example of when deterrence fail. What is an example there of Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, the fact that he greenlighted Putin moving into Ukraine, and then now they see weakness, and when they see weakness, they make a move. And we have to be strong, and we have to be strong both in Ukraine, and we can solve the southern border. Absolutely, we can do that, because guess what? There's only 19,855 authorized people for the Border Patrol, but they're not all staff because the Biden administration doesn't enforce law enforcement. But Biden administration wanted to put 87,000 people in the IRS as opposed to giving the money in this fort we need to our own Border Patrol.
Okay. Senator Scott, on China, that same question.
And I speak about China.
Let's fire the 87,000 IRS agents and hire or double the number of Border Patrol agents. I just left Yuma, Arizona about 2 weeks ago. The most pressing need of the American people from a national security standpoint is our southern border. It has led to the death of 70,000 Americans because of fentanyl.
For the record, the whole fentanyl thing is like the most ridiculous moral panic of all time. And on top of that, as far as like criminal organizations going through the Mexican border to engage in crime here in America, the majority of it is happening through non-passing through the border via a way a wall would stop means. This idea that like we gotta secure the border, like we do from criminals, yes, like criminal organizations, but if we're being honest, the actual problem is on the other side of the border. There's like an insane amount of corruption within the Mexican government, particularly local government in Mexico, in areas where the like cartels have the most power, to the extent where it's like there are areas in Mexico where you'll be driving down the highway, you'll be driving down the road, you know, and a cop truck or a cop car will come up behind you and flash its lights and start, you know, doing the siren. And there is a non-zero chance that's cartel, and they're going to rob you and maybe do worse if you pull over. So that's actually a real worry if you get pulled over in certain areas in Mexico. Because they have access to actual police equipment, including their cars and everything. Like, the amount of corruption is quite wild. They, like, the criminal organizations have an insane amount of resources and money. They aren't, like, they aren't just, like, tunneling under the wall. They're taking, like, private jets into America. Or through, like, submarines and shit. They've got means you can't even imagine.
No. Plus 6 million illegal crossings since President Biden has taken office, and 200 people on our national security watch list have been caught at our border. How many have not been caught at our southern border? If we just spend $10 billion, we could finish the wall. For $5 billion more, we could have the military-grade technology to surveil our southern border to stop the flow of fentanyl and save 70,000 Americans a year. That should be the priority of this government. And as the next president of the United States, I will make that border wall complete.
There are many more questions on China. I do want to ask
I want to say I couldn't agree more. It's not just the 70,000 from fentanyl. We've lost 200,000 people to overdoses since Biden took office. That's 300 people a day. We're taking mass casualties, and that's a statistic, but these are sons and daughters, nieces and nephews.
The only reason not even most Americans, but most people who were in favor of the wall were ever in favor of it was because Trump was so good at, like, selling the idea of America having a wall. Like, he basically did all but said,
I'm telling you folks, we're gonna be just like Game of Thrones. We're gonna have a big wall. When the White Walkers come, only, let's just say we're not dealing with White Walkers, am I right, folks? yeah, we're not dealing, you get the joke, don't you, folks? Yes, you do. You're all very smart, you're very special. We're gonna be just like Game of Thrones. We're gonna have a big, great wall. It's gonna be awesome.
Like, I don't know. He was good at selling it, you know?
that we're losing. We've got North Dakota troops down there flying night helicopter missions from San Diego to the Gulf Coast, trying to stop these transnational criminal organizations.
special
They've got
little
better
pug
funding on their
champs.
side than we've got on our side.
Speaking of which, Governor Hutchinson, images from earlier this month, Governor Hutchinson,
with Mexico,
Vice President Pence,
policy.
images from earlier this month. Vice President Pence, it really doesn't help. I'm asking a question. Earlier this month, images showed suspected cartel members crossing
crowd.
into Texas with rifles. Do you
That's Giga Chad.
consider this an invasion? Would you authorize lethal force along that border?
My nose be dripping.
There would be lethal force used by the Border Patrol, law enforcement as needed to protect the border. Absolutely. When you look at the military has to be used for intelligence gathering purposes. This is not unusual. Whenever I was in the Bush administration, we went down there and met with President Vicente Fox of Mexico and asked his help in going after the cartels. And he looked at me and said, they're a problem to us as well. And so we joined together and we took down the Ariana Felix brothers leading the Tijuana cartel. And that made a difference. Ramon was shot and killed and Ben Amin was captured. Cooperation makes a difference. We cannot be successful going against the cartel unless we bring in Mexico as a partner. We have to use economic pressure to accomplish that. President Obrador has not been helpful, and we have to use economic pressure that this administration is not using. The rule of law has to matter on both sides of it.
Okay.
This is critical. I've done it. We know what needs to be done. The military has to be limited in its use. After 9/11, we had the global war on terror, and guess what? We protected the border at the same time. You can do both.
Okay, let's go to Governor DeSantis. So as president, would you support sending U.S. Special Forces over the border into Mexico to take out fentanyl labs, to take out drug cartel operations? Would you support that kind of American military use?
Yes, and I will do it on day one. Here's the thing. The cartels are killing tens of thousands of our fellow citizens. You want to talk about a country in decline? You have the cartels controlling.
How is a border
large part of
fence
your
gonna
southern
stop
border.
them, dude?
We have to reestablish the rule of law, and we have to defend our people. The President of the United States has got to use all available powers as Commander-in-Chief to protect our country and to protect the people. So when they're coming across, yes, we're going to use lethal force. Yes, we reserve the right to operate. How many more tens of thousands are we going to let to die? I am sick. I've met angel moms throughout this country. I met a lady in Texas named Tracy, and her son took one Percocet that was laced with fentanyl, immediately died. That is happening all across this country because of the poison that they are bringing in.
I hope he
So
tells
as
more
president, would I use
stories,
force?
like the
Would I treat
abortion
them as foreign
bedpan
terrorist
guy he knew.
organizations? You're darn right I would.
You know, Vice President Pence. Vice
He
President
immediately
Pence,
died.
Why would you be better at this issue than Governor DeSantis?
He immediately
Governor
became
DeSantis on the campaign
homophobic.
trail refers to your administration as not finishing the wall.
Right. Look, we secured the southern border of the United States of America and reduced illegal immigration and asylum
Yeah, that's what it
use
does. You
by
die
90%.
immediately. It's instant.
When Joe Biden took over, he
Insta-death.
threw open the southern border of the United States, and the wave of humanity, the wave of fentanyl that's been eloquently described here is a wave of human tragedy across this country. But Martha, you began this
You experience
evening
instant
talking about
megadeath.
who is best prepared to be the next president of the United States. And I have to tell you with all humility, I was there when we negotiated through the government shutdown and got the funding available to build the wall. I was negotiating on Capitol Hill around the clock. I negotiated the Remain in Mexico policy on behalf of the President of the United States. And Asa, you're so right. It's because we used economic pressure to bring the Mexicans to the table, and they allowed us to have people wait in Mexico while they applied for asylum and ended asylum abuse overnight. We got the Mexicans to deploy their National Guard to their southern border and to our southern border as never before. And I want to promise you, as President of the United States of America, I will engage Mexico the exact same way, and we will partner with the Mexican military, and we will hunt down and destroy the cartels that are claiming lives in the United States of America.
Okay, thank you. Another
Every
issue
Trump
that is
supporter is
related
going to boo
this
at him
is that
because it's
almost
Pence.
7 million migrants have crossed this border, our southern border, during the Biden administration. So, Governor Christie, what would you do about the 7 million who are here? How would you handle them? What would you do?
Look, Martha, the first thing we need to do is to stop any more from coming. That's the first thing we need to do. Then the next thing we need to do with the folks that are here is to, again, as we've talked about all night tonight, we have to have law and order in this country. We have to enforce the law. And what that means is to make sure that people who come here illegally are not rewarded for being here illegally. We have so many wonderful people from around the world who are waiting in line, following the law to try to come here.
Illegal
and pursue the
immigration,
American dream.
through and
those
through
people
is a
are
benefit to
waiting
America.
And waiting and waiting because we haven't
There's
dealt
no
with the problem of the
real
folks who are
debate over
here.
it.
We have to have them detained. We have to make sure that they are not rewarded for having broken the law. And one last thing on this fentanyl issue. With China, we can't take our eye off of that ball. Yes, it's important.
God, they
that we
jump
secure the
around
border.
from
Very important,
buzzword
as
to
I just said.
buzzword.
But
It's
China
hard to keep
is
track.
sending these chemicals to these drug cartels for them to create the fentanyl that is killing hundreds of thousands of our citizens. The Chinese are engaging in an act of war against us, killing our citizens. We better make that priority one in our conversations with China and to try to straighten that relationship out. Because
God, they're the ones that want to go to war with China, dude.
Would you send those people back?
Of course. You'd have to.
We have a lot of issues that Americans care about. Next up, we're going to talk about the crisis in education, as millions of American children are not proficient in reading or math. After this.
Oh boy. God, this is mind-numbing. We're literally just looking at, like, the gathering of evil and, like, some of the most evil citizens of this country cheering it on.
To fix this crisis as we see it.
Absolutely. The decline in education is one of the major reasons why our country is in decline. We need education in this country, not indoctrination in this country. And in Florida, we stood up for what was right. First, we had schools
They're
open
banning
during
books.
COVID, and a lot of the problems that we've seen are because these lockdown states lock their kids out of school for a year and a half. That was wrong.
Ron
We stood up.
DeSantis
I
is
took a lot of
banning
fire for
books.
that. I was pilloried by the media, but I stood for our kids. And as president, I'll stand for you and your kids as well. But we have to make sure that what our schools are doing is focusing on solid academics. In Florida, we eliminated critical
You banned
race theory from our
AP
K-12
psychology.
We
You
eliminated
banned
gender
AP psychology
ideology
from
our
being
K-12
taught.
schools. And we have elevated the importance of American.
He banned AP psychology from being taught in Florida public schools. Like, it's just they're just anti-education and anti-science. There's no, you can't live in that fantasy world.
American civics and teaching our kids about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. As president, I'm going to lead an effort to increase civic understanding and knowledge of our Constitution. We cannot be graduating students that don't have any foundation in what it means to be an American.
Mr. Ramaswamy, Mr. Ramaswamy, hold on, Senator Scott. You've said that the Department of Education, the FBI, the ATF, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the IRS, the Department of Commerce, many of these should not exist.
That's correct.
So to the education question, how would you deal with the crisis?
So look, we have a crisis of achievement. Let's shut down the head of the snake, the Department of Education. Take that $80 billion, put it in the hands of parents across this country. This is the civil rights issue of our time.
Education,
Allow any
defund
parent to choose where they send their kids to school. End the teachers' unions.
He just said this is the civil rights movement of our time. Parents need right, like it's literally they see it as a parental rights movement, or they don't see it. They're framing it as, and they're outright framing it as the like they need to defund education. Like they're putting it all out. What the shit, man? This is so fucked. How many non-Americans are watching this right now? Hypers in chat, if you're not American, you're watching this, and you're just like, what the fuck? I know Minimum Volts isn't American. Like, these are the people that have had, like, a vile amount of control of our country for an insane amount of time. They are just, like, openly like, yes, education is the enemy. Yeah, we need to destroy that. That's... If education is readily accessible to these children, then they won't vote for us. We've got to destroy that. We got to defund it. And they just openly say that, and they get cheers. I know, like, other countries' politics are also pretty fucked, but I feel like America's has got to be, like, pretty uniquely, like, a parody. But real, you know? I don't feel like any other country could have a Trump-tier president. I really don't. I think we are the, like, that level of arrogance and feeling like you're better than everyone else is uniquely American. Like, Trump is so funny because he's like every negative stereotype about Americans that, like, Europeans and non-Americans could have, like, turned into a person. He's an overweight, crass, stupid, like, lowbrow, like just like bigoted, like his like favorite meal is like McDonald's like burgers and fries, even though he's like a billionaire. Like he's just such a cartoon character that I feel like Europeans probably saw Trump and were just like, what the fuck, when he won. Like, I wish I could go back and, like, see British people's reactions to finding out Trump won the election. Like, British people and, like, Australians, like, being like, hey, you hear Trump won the American election, then being like, what? That'd be funny as fuck. I remember those videos were pretty popular back in 2016. Like, the non-Americans finding out Trump won the election and being surprised as fuck. And being like, what is wrong with you? It's good shit.
At the local level to allow public schools to compete, and then revive our national identity where every high school senior should have to pass the same civics test that frankly every immigrant, including my mother, had to pass in order to become a citizen of this country. And the fact of the matter is, look, there's part of education policy that also rests with the family. I didn't grow up in money, but you know the word privilege gets used a lot? Well, you know what? I did have the ultimate privilege of 2 parents in the house with a focus on educational achievement. And I want every kid to enjoy that. So part of the problem is we also have a federal government that pays single women more not to have a man in the house than to have a man in the house, contributing to an epidemic of fatherless. And I think that
the
goes hand in
incel,
glove with the education
the
crisis as
incel
well, because we have to
talking
remember,
points.
education starts with the family, and the nuclear family
He's trying
is the
to
greatest
appeal
form
to
of
the
governance known
Zoomers.
to mankind.
I will get you state-mandated girlfriends.
Governor Haley has said that biological boys playing in girls' sports is the women's issue of our time. You said that even though you signed a ban on this in North Dakota, that there hadn't been one instance where it was actually needed. Are you saying that you think
so here's
that
them
too much
talking
is
about
made of this
banning
issue?
trans people.
No, I'm saying in North Dakota, we made a priority of protecting women's sports, and we've done that in our state. But I would absolutely do that. But I do think when we start talking about education and we think that we're going to have a federal government, one size fits all, we're just completely losing track of the fact that education differs by state. Some school districts are doing a fantastic job, some less so. But the idea that
education differs by state, that is fucking batshit, dude.
You know, when I was building a company from scratch,
that should give you some idea of why America's education system is so fucked.
In 132 countries with over 100,000 customers. We listened to those customers. We spent time with them. We talked to them. We did that. And as governor, well,
that is literally how they treat it. Your education differs by state.
I go. I shadow a student. I don't. The night before, I find out the student finds out. I'm going to go to every class with them. I don't sit and lecture school districts how to do it. I go and see the experience. And there's a lot of things that have to change. But what needs to change in education is it's innovation. We're doing it the same way we did it 50 years ago with innovation, not regulation. I would get rid of the Department of Education. I would give block grants to schools, but I'd give them on merit based on who's doing the most innovative. I just got done holding the 7th annual Governor's Conference on Innovation and Education. You should see what the people are doing when you cut loose
States'
the red
rights
tape,
to
get
lie
the
to your
burden off their
kid's
back.
face.
They care. Teachers in this country, the vast majority of them care about those kids. They're working in low-paying jobs, and they're fighting for those kids and their families.
Governor Haley, you said that this is the women's issue of our time.
First, I'll tell you, as you know, as a parent, the one thing you want is for your child to have a better life than you did. And we can talk about all of these things, and there's a lot of crazy woke things happening in schools, but we've got to get these kids reading. If a child can't read by 3rd grade, they're 4 times less likely to graduate high school. So we need to make sure we bring in reading remediation all over this country. We need transparency in the classroom because parents should never have to wonder what's being said or taught to their children in the classroom. Parents need to be deciding which schools their kids go to because they know best. And let's put vocational class.
You know what's crazy? I remember, like, when the word woke was literally just, like, a thing the quartering and, like, no bullshit would say in YouTube videos. You guys remember that, right? Like, back when the word woke was literally, like a niche anti-SJW internet thing, right? You guys remember that, right? Parents do not know best. Yeah, of course. Guys, I've talked about this in the past. The conservative worldview is that children are property of their parents. Like, it goes God, then the father, then the wife, then the children, then the dog, then the cat, and the farm animals. That is the hierarchy of ownership within the conservative household. They believe that children belong to their parents in every sense of that phrase, in the same way that a slave belongs to their master. It's why they don't believe that there is any such thing as child abuse, for example, unless it's something that wokeness is doing to kids.
Classes back into the high schools. Let's teach our kids to build things again. When we do that and we allow that innovation, that's when it'll get back. And yes, I will always say I'm going to fight for girls all day long because strong girls become strong women become strong leaders, and biological boys don't belong in the locker rooms of any of our girls.
We're going to start the lightning round, and the first question is going to go to you, Vice President. So this is a lightning round of questions, 30-second answers, please. President Biden will be 82 years old on Inauguration Day. Nearly 70% of Americans say that he is too old to serve. Should presidents have to pass a mental and physical test in order to serve, Vice President Pence?
Well, it might be a good idea to have everybody in Washington, D.C. pass a mental.
How do we feel about that question, though? This is actually like the first unironically interesting question. Obviously, Trump wouldn't pass this, but like, do you think that a mental and physical test for people who want to be president, like, before they can be sworn in? Like, how would that even work, though? Because if the people elect you, it's just you win. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we should just have a more robust system for impeachment. Like, if we had a less partisan, like, weak to partisan fuckery system for impeaching, like, an awful, literally mentally ill, insane president who's incapable of leading the country properly, then we wouldn't need to do something like that. Also, they're only saying this because Biden is, like, they think Biden has dementia or whatever. Yeah, most of them would fail, let's be honest. Like, these are all old as fuck people that are not all there, okay? I'm pretty sure Mike Pence, if he's sitting in a comfy chair and you try to have a conversation with him, he'll fall asleep. And you'll have to, like reach over and, like, shake his leg a little bit, like, kick his foot, and be like, Mike, wake up. And be like, I'm listening, I was just resting my eyes. I'm pretty sure that's most of these people on this stage right now.
But, 30 seconds, no. The American people can make those judgments. But let me say, I'm running for president of the United States because we don't need a president who's too old. And we don't need a president who's too young. We need a president who's been there. We need a president who knows how Congress works, how the White House works, how states work. And on this education issue, Martha, I was fighting against No Child Left Behind when Republicans were doubling the Department of Education. I'll also shut down the Federal Department of Education. And when I was governor, we doubled the size of the largest school choice program in America. And we'll give school choice to every family in America when I'm in the White House.
This is a lightning round, Mr. Ramaswamy. I think you were mentioned there. You're 38. You're the youngest on the stage. You've said, and you just said, you want a civics test or public service for those under 25 to be able to vote. So the question is, do you want a mental acuity test for presidents?
Oh yeah, now this is them.
People of this country to tell the
So this is them trying to advocate for voter suppression. They're trying to advocate for there to have to be like barriers and like tests you have to go through before you can vote if you're under the age of 25. So this is them once again revealing how scared they are. They recognize that Gen Z does not vote Republican and or will not vote Republican upon hitting voting age, and that they are destined to lose. Like, inevitably and indefinitely. So they are very, very fucking terrified. So that's why they're trying to raise the voting age to 25. Under 25 to be able to vote for... Yeah, no. They literally... They recognize they have to raise the voting age to 25 and up if they're going to keep winning elections going forward. They are unironically... Yeah, they're trying to take it back to 1870s rules, yeah. Like, they are that desperate to maintain power politically. But they've fucked the American people time and time again, the right has. Young people know that the world is fucked because of these people's actions, and their propaganda isn't working as well on Gen Z as it has previous generations, and the right is terrified. They are literally horrified by this reality. Yeah, Zoomers are rising up, and they're scared.
Difference between somebody who's an automaton and somebody who's actually a thinking agent in the White House, which we don't have in there today. And I will tell you, I want to address Vice President Pence's comment. I think we do need somebody of a different generation to lead this nation forward. Look at the way I've run this campaign. Go into the South outside of Chicago to Kensington, in the middle of Philadelphia, where traditional Republican candidates don't go. We have an opportunity to build a multi-ethnic, working-class majority to deliver a landslide, and I think I'm the only candidate in this race, young or old, black or white, to bring all of those voters along to deliver a Reagan 1980 revolution. We're going to do it in 2024.
Same question. How can you now vote in a presidential election until 2024?
I will answer that. I will answer that.
30 seconds.
30 second quick answer.
You guys need to get control of this debate.
Everybody's going to get
Listen, we're getting control of the debate. This is a lightning round, not rolling thunder. Governor Hutchinson, you have 30 seconds on the same question.
On education, first of all, look at Arkansas. We have to compete with China. I built computer science education. We led the nation in computer science education, going from 1,100 students to 23,000 students taking it. This is how you compete with China. As President of the United States, I will make sure we go from 51% of our schools offering computer science to every school in rural areas and urban areas offering computer science for the benefit of our kids, and we can compete with China in terms of technology.
Thank you, sir. This is going to go to, this is coming to you. We're trying to do a quick round of different topics here. So, Senator Scott, faith is on decline in this country. You talked about it a little bit before tonight. So is there a role for
less
the President
religion's
of
a
the
problem
United States
to the
in changing
GOP, by the way.
What would you do to change that?
Well, our nation was founded upon the Judeo-Christian values that has made this.
Like, they literally have a question at their GOP debate. How will you reduce the dropping rate of secularism? Or not secularism, of religiosity in the country. It's like, that is a problem that the GOP is talking about on the debate stage, is how to make more Americans live under Christianity and Christian rule. Really? That's their core? Okay.
The greatest nation on God's green earth. I'm a big believer in Ephesians 3:20 that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or imagine. Our responsibility should be to model the behavior we want others to follow. On education, the only way we change education in this nation is to break the backs of the teachers' unions. They are standing in the doorhouse of our kids, locking them into failing schools and locking them out of the greatest future they could have.
As President, Governor DeSantis, would you support some mandatory military service for all Americans?
I think it should be voluntary. I'm somebody that volunteered to serve, inspired by September 11th.
Jesus, of course that's a question.
To Iraq,
mandatory
US
military
Navy SEALs in
service.
places like Fallujah, Ramadi, and it's something that I think has taught me, you know, when you go in that type of environment, anything you have, your personal agenda, you check it at the door. You go there, and it's about focusing on the mission above all else. And guys come together, and they get it done. And that's how I would view being the President of the United States. It's not about me. It's not about all these other side issues. My sole focus will be on your future and reversing this country's decline.
Okay, now for something a little out of this world, and this is for you, Governor Christie. Do you believe that the recent spike in UFO encounters...
I get the UFO question?
Yeah, you do.
Come on,
There
man.
you go.
Hey, chat. You know what I've been saying for literally a year now? You know how I've been saying Flat Earth is coming? That they adopted anti-vax, and that was one of the most laughed at, like, bottom-of-the-barrel, low-hanging fruit internet joke beliefs for the longest time. There were, like, people were like, nah, most anti-vaxxers online are probably trolls, to be honest. I'm telling you. Flat Earth is next, okay? We're going to be having combos about Flat Earth in Republican debate stages in the future. I swear to God. We are getting there. We are getting to Flat Earth being part of the line you have to toe as a Republican politician. We are getting so close.
Okay, we've been hearing a lot of testimony in Congress, and people are taking
Sell
it a
it
lot
to
more
me.
seriously. And we're hearing that, you know, there are things going on that people aren't aware of. So,
The Zand
if you were
prophecy,
president,
exactly.
Governor Christie, would you level with the American people about what the government knows?
Did I log off? Yeah,
about
because
these
it's restarting.
possible-
It'll just take a
Martha,
minute.
And especially coming from a woman from New Jersey. I think it's horrible that just because I'm from New Jersey, you asked me about unidentified flying objects and Martians. We're different, but we're not that different. Look, of course, the job of the President of the United States is to level with the American people about everything. The job of the President of the United States is to stand for truth, is to be a role model for our children and our grandchildren. And so whether it was UFOs or this problem of education, and Tim's right, by the way, And I started this in 2010 by going
this is
right
what
after
matters
teachers
to
unions in
them.
New
This is
Jersey,
what matters to the
drove down to
Republican
an all-time
voter.
low popularity rating 'cause
There's
they were
no
putting
stakes
themselves
for
before
them
our kids. That
on
is
any of the
biggest threat
issues
to
they
our
care
country,
about.
not UFOs.
Okay. Well, coming up, we've
At least he had a somewhat reasonable
Hannity is
response
live
saying
from
this
the
shit is
spin room right
ridiculous.
here in the Fiserv Forum with reaction from all the candidates.
So that, I believe that was the end of the debate. I'm pretty sure that was the end, right? Unless... Okay, I think we might have a little bit more.
This nation to a better day. These are 45
Okay.
seconds, and we begin with Governor Burgum.
All right, here's the last little bit.
I understand why America's hurting. Biden's inflation is choking us. I grew up in a small town. My dad died when I was a freshman in high school. My mom, widow of 3, went back to work. Every job I had growing up was one where I took a shower at the end of the day, not at the beginning of the day. Our cities are less safe because of the fentanyl pouring into this country. Our economy is being crushed by Biden's energy policies, which are raising the cost of every product you buy, not just the gasoline at the pump. One thing that I'll do as president, I'll secure the border. I'll get this economy sprinting, not crawling like it is right now. And I would say that other thing is for sure, when I'm on a horseback in the Badlands of North Dakota, it looks like the horizon is just limitless.
What?
When you can almost see beyond that horizon, you can see that this great country, our future is unlimited. But we've got to focus on innovation, not regulation. We've got to cut the red tape. We've got to drive ourselves forward. The way we win the Cold War with China is by growing our economy and through innovation. And as president, I will bring out the best of America. I will improve every American life.
Well, we hope you're back on your horse soon, Governor.
Governor Hutchinson?
Our nation is in trouble. And it's in trouble because of failed leadership.
Hank, our nation is in trouble, Hank.
The solution is not 4 more years of Donald Trump. The solution is new
The solution is not 4 more years of Donald Trump, Hank.
And to bring out the best of America. A president's #1 responsibility is to bring out the best of our people. That's what Ronald Reagan did. And he did it with optimism
Thank
and
you,
hope for our
Candidate
country,
Gribble.
with a consistent conservatism. That's exactly what I bring. As president, I'll bring out the best of America in terms of individual responsibility, building our economy, in terms of securing our border, enforcing the rule of law. I'll bring out the best of America in terms of our national character, our faith, and our hope for the future. Join in this fight, ACE2024.com.
Thank you. Senator Scott.
Thank you. I was a disillusioned young man growing up in a single-parent household, mired in poverty. I wondered if the American dream was real.
Dog, imagine I ran for president and I was on the debate stage, and then at the end of my outro, I say, also subscribe to me on YouTube, youtube.com/Sanderhall, youtube.com/Sanderhall, youtube.com/Sanderhall. Thank you. And that's how I, like, finished my outro off in a presidential debate. And then I win in a landslide.
For a kid like me, I can stand before you today and say the dream is alive, it is well, and it is healthy. I have the good fortune of a mom who works 16-hour days, making sure we have food on our tables. She taught me that if you're able-bodied in America, you work. If you take out a loan, you pay it back. If you commit a violent crime, you go to jail.
Bootstraps.
And if God made you a man, you play sports against men. I'm Tim Scott. I'm asking you for your vote, and if you're in Iowa, I'm asking you to caucus for me. You can go to votetimscott.com for more information.
Well, yeah, they glorify the idea of working yourself to death, yes.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Martha. Look, everybody on this stage wants to be the next president of the United States. And the only way that's going to happen is if we beat Joe Biden. I'm the only one on this stage who's ever beaten a Democratic incumbent in an election. I did it in a deep blue state, being outspent 3-1. Beating a Democratic incumbent is not easy. The last Democratic incumbent president who was defeated was Jimmy Carter. And he was defeated by a conservative governor from a blue state who knew how to get results, who stood for the truth, who cared about accountability, and stood strong and hard against waste. Those are the very things that I did
feel like
in my
Chris
8 years as governor of
Christie's
New Jersey,
approval,
and it's exactly what I'll do
like
as
polling
president
rate
of the
might
United
go up
States.
after
Believe
this.
me, the Democrats want
I feel
some
like
other
Chris
nominee
Christie
who's
did
never
well.
beaten the Democratic incumbent. I'm the one who can win this race, and if you give me the chance, I will restore our country by winning it.
Thank you. Governor Haley.
Several weeks ago, I dropped my husband, Michael, a combat veteran from Afghanistan, off at 4 a.m. for another year-long deployment. I watched him and 230 soldiers pick up their 2 duffel bags of belongings to go to a country they had never been, all in the name of protecting America. If they are willing to protect us from there, we should be willing to fight for America here. I will beat Joe Biden, and he knows that. I will strengthen our economy, and we'll bring this inflation down. We will put transparency in the classroom. We will secure our borders. We will have the backs of our law enforcement, and we will make sure we have a strong national security. And once again, we will make sure we have an America that is strong and proud. We have a country to save. Join us. Go to NikkiHaley.com, and let's get it done.
Yeah, that'd be me. It'd be XanderHall.com/live. I'd be shouting myself out.
Thank you, Brad and Martha, for this evening. It's an honor to be here. Joe Biden has weakened America at home and abroad. The disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, their war on energy, runaway spending that launched the worst inflation in 40 years.
Yo, good news, guys. Apparently that restart for the server was Housemaster re-enabling X-Ray. Apparently X-Ray now works. Unless chat's memeing, but multiple people are saying it does, so apparently that's what that restart was. Nice.
Our southern border, an assault on our values and liberties, and the American people have had enough.
Oh, yeah, it does. Now, yeah, it definitely works now.
For different leadership.
Oh, yeah.
The Republican Party owes the American people a choice.
It's back.
Proven leadership at the national level that knows how to move a conservative agenda forward. We proved in the Trump
Netherite mining's going to be fun.
Faster than you can imagine. And I have faith we will again. Because I have faith in the American people. The good, decent, hardworking, faith-filled, idealistic people of this country. And I have faith that God is not done with America yet. And if we will renew our faith in one another and renew our faith in Him who has ever guided this nation since we arrived on these wilderness shores, I know the best days for the greatest nation on earth are yet to come.
Thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy.
I was born in 1985, and I grew up into a generation where we were taught to celebrate our diversity and our differences.
He's just trying to come off as Zoomer. He's not really a Zoomer.
We are really just the same as Americans, bound by a common set of ideals that set this nation into motion in 1776. And this is our moment to revive those common ideals. God is real. There are two genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest known to man. Capitalism
this guy's a fascist.
From poverty. There are 3 branches of government, not 4. And the U.S. Constitution, it is the strongest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what will win us the revolution of 2024. Thanks for letting me introduce myself tonight. Thank you.
This is just a speech. He said it verbatim 100 times. Very unconvincing to me, if I'm being honest.
Governor?
This is our time for choosing. We will send Joe Biden back to his basement, and we will reverse the decline of this country.
He's saying the same line again.
Kid. I work minimum wage jobs to be able to make ends meet. I understand the importance of the American dream, and I know how that slipped away from so many millions of Americans. We'll restore it. I'm a veteran who served in Iraq. I know what it means to put service above self. I'm also a dad and a husband to 6'5" and 3-year-old. I understand the importance of protecting parents.
You could hear the fact that he's in his head reading off the script. It's just there's no charm to the delivery like the rest of them had.
Rights.
He's a robot.
Our children in Florida, we showed it could be done. I made promises and I delivered on all of those promises. 2024 is make or break. We're not getting a mulligan. No excuses. I will get the job done, and as your president, I will not let you down. God bless you all.
Well, we want to say thank you.
And Trump's still winning by a lot.
And thank you to Milwaukee.
Thank you, everybody. We will see you on the campaign trail from debates to primaries.
Cool. Nice and cool. Well, that was god-awful. Genuinely, that was horrific. I hope that for non-Americans, it was nice to be able to, like, watch as, like, the powers that be, the evil creatures that cause all this country's like biggest problems all come together to discuss the issues they care about, and I hope it really reveals to you why our country's so fucked. You know, like, oh, the Republican Party is unironically this insane. Oh, you know, like I hope it makes things make more sense. You know. Are things making more sense to my European audience? Even with a couple of breaks, your review wasn't as long as your Keffel's Human Pet Guy debate review. How does that make you feel? I mostly let it play, so it doesn't surprise me, but there was a lot to say on that video, to be fair. There was a lot to say on that Human Pet Guy debate, okay? And also, what am I doing? Like, content stealing Fox News? I don't care. They're not a YouTuber working hard to get by. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. The support. Anyway, that was quite awful. I hate that I had to watch that. I really, really do. Okay. Alrighty then. So I guess what we could do then. Nah, we'll stick to this purpose. So we finished the segment. I could read donos and stream for like maybe another 20 minutes. You know, just another 20 minutes of stream. Thank you for the $8 Australian, Lauren Walker. I appreciate that. Take my scraps. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. As well as NT Lou. Thank you for the tier 2 sub. I really appreciate that as well. Very kind of you. Said something to react to. Don't be a sucker. U.S. War Office educational video from the 40s. You'll like it. I've actually seen a lot of those videos. It's not a purple link, but I'll definitely check that one out off stream because I really like those old black and white videos where it's like, all right, so, here, let me do like an impression. Okay then, sports. So you're going to be working as an infantryman in the army. Well, and then it'll like show some like footage of like guys in like a hole, like hiding from tanks. It'll be like, now this particular video is going to tell you how to deal with the big armored metal beast that is the whatever tank. When you see one coming, you'll want to get down into the nearest hole. You should already have dug some, but if there aren't some nearby, you can duck and cover. Then you'll want to take your issued, it's like those grenades that have like the can on the end, and it's like a stick. And you like yeah, those videos are great. I like those a lot. I'll watch it off stream, but I'm quite tired, so I'm not down for watching links right now because I'm trying to get a little more of this stuff collected before I wrap up stream and I go to bed. But thank you. I appreciate it, NTLU. Then Heavy Gretel, thank you for the tier 1 gift sub to Indolent Cow. I really appreciate it. It says, welcome to Site Chat, Indolent Cow. Hey, I really appreciate it. Welcome. Hopefully you appreciate the tier 1 sub. And thank you as well, Heavy Gretel. I appreciate it. And Exolar, thank you for the $5. It says $5 discount. Hell yeah. You guys paid for my dinner tonight. Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Gah. You know it's really gonna be wild when we have to collect the coral. Like this isn't that hard, but actually the coral collection might be way easier because it's in warm oceans and like drowned don't spawn. So the coral collection should be easier. You don't have to like store coral in a special way to keep it from going dry, right? Like if I just store it in a chest, it's not gonna like slowly turn dry over time. No like weird crazy mechanics like that. I'm curious. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So I've got a few outside of 2B2T friends that I know that happen to play 2B2T. And I'm going to see about, once I've got the materials necessary, seeing if they're down to help with the construction of the ocean base. But overall, when I make my ocean city base, it is going to mostly be a solo build, at least in the beginning and what's streamed. But depending on how promising it ends up being and how big of a project it ends up ballooning out to be, more people might get involved. But people I trust that will not likely inside the base or dox it or anything like that. So I think we'll probably be good. Big dome? No big dome. As much as I love the idea of a big dome, that ruins the idea of it being an underwater city. I want it to be, like, properly an underwater city. Like, you've got to dive down there. What I will do, though, is set up those, like, underwater beacon things that make it so that when you go underwater, you can breathe infinitely as long as you're in the vicinity. It's like a beacon. And I'll set up a bunch of those all over. So once you get down into the city, no matter where you are, despite it all being filled with water, you'll be able to breathe. And you'll be able to walk around and do stuff. Yeah, conduits. I'll put conduits literally everywhere. I'll hide them everywhere if I have to. But yeah, that should make it much more doable. Right, I'm not going to be transforming an ocean base into this, by the way. I'm just collecting the prismarine from the ocean bases because it's the only way you can get it, and prismarine is like the best ocean city building material, obviously. And of course, when we do build the ocean city, I'm going to be doing it once my goal is... Here's the thing, chat. Here's what I'd like to do. By the time we get like halfway or so into the building of the underwater city, I'm hoping that I'll be able to get my new PC. The reason for this is if I can get a new PC, I will be able to use and stream with the Rethinking Voxels shader pack when building the city. And oh my god, is it fucking beautiful. I could try throwing it on really quick to show you what it looks like. Well, I don't have the stuff installed here, sadly. But if you want, you can look up video of it. But like underwater in particular, it looks amazing. There's a few other really good shaders too that just look particularly amazing that I'd really like to be able to use with perfect performance while building the underwater city. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Hakeem CC, thank you so much for the $100. Hot damn, thank you. Says it's time to call out the Democratic Party's opposition to nuclear energy. We're more reliant on coal because of it. Yeah, that really does. That's a huge problem. Nuclear energy is good, and there needs to be less fear-mongering about it. We need to be heavily investing in nuclear energy. Well, we need to invest in nuclear energy and in renewable energy simultaneously. Ooh. Thank you so much, Hakeem. Oh my god. Ooh. My back be cracking. Oh my god, that is so kind of you, though. Holy shit. My god. Thank you so much. That definitely is going to help with the goal of raising money for that, you know? Also, I'm moving at the end of the month, so, or not the end of the month, the end of the year. So it's also going to help with that. I'll be raising money. So, like, right now I'm raising money, obviously, so that I can move and do quail at the end of the year. And in spring is when the quail will be hatching. And that's when there'll be, like, little creatures that you can actually see running around and doing cute shit. Will be this spring, or this coming spring. And after that, once I'm, like, settled and moved in and I've got the quail stuff underway... while the quail are incubating, or before the quail are incubating, actually, I have to buy a proper probably Sony DSLR camera, like a proper high-quality camera that I can use for streaming and videos, because if I'm going to do the, birds, I have to have a proper, good vlogging video camera for it. And I'm willing to spend a few thousand, maybe, on a good camera that will last me for, like, a decade, if that's, what I'm going for. And then after that, my next big, like, money sink to invest into content would be a new PC. And using this PC as, like, a streaming PC to take the weight off of a new one. So that, like, the new PC would just be focused on whatever game I'm playing or whatever else I'm doing. But that is off in the future. And we gotta grind to get to that point. I seriously want to thank all of you for your support today. You guys have been fucking amazing. You really have. You really, really have. I think here's where I'm going to wrap up the stream. I will not be streaming tomorrow, but what I will be doing is I highly recommend you join my Discord server. The reason for that is that tomorrow, me, Balthazar, and a group of my friends, and obviously many of my other fans, are going to be joining in my Discord server in the public channel called Zan's Theater. And we're going to be doing a watch party of Adventure Time. Classic Cartoon Network show, classic animated show, arguably basically set the, like, precedent, set the bounds, or like set the, what's the term for it? Like the inspiration for most, like, modern day animation. that followed it. Like, you can see the inspiration very starkly. So, Zan, your Discord server seems broken. No, I think it's working fine. Seems okay. Yeah. What time do you think you'll be doing the watch party? I don't know yet, but I'll be making the announcement in the Discord server announcement section when it happens, like I do with my streams. So if you don't have notifications on for that, you'll want to turn on notifications for just that announcement section. So it's going to be pretty fun. It's going to be a great time. We're going to try to binge watch the show as much as possible over the course of like the next week and a half, because I believe it's... Oh my, yeah, it's literally in just over a week is when it premieres, the Fiona and Cake show. And I'm pretty certain if you see a single episode of Fiona and Cake, it ruins the entire main show for you. Just with the level of, 1, spoilers, and 2, I feel like it's, you've got to experience the slow incline, you know? Towards the good shit that happens, like the hardcore good Kino shit that happens later on in the show. Anyway, you guys will see for yourselves if you are blind on the show, of course, watching it with us. But yeah, it's been a fun night, everybody. I really do appreciate all of your support today. There's a sequel? Yeah, it's literally a sequel show, and it is premiering in a little over a week. It's on HBO. It's going to be on HBO Max. I'm not going to spoil what it's about, but it's going to be good. Just trust me. So yeah. Anyway, that'll be tomorrow is when we'll be starting it, so it's going to be fun as hell. Anyway, guys, good morning, Veiny Wombat. Unfortunately, you came in just as I'm ending stream. Anyway, though, guys, it is late for me. I'm going to head to bed. I really appreciate you guys and all of your support today. As always, I hope you have fantastic nights or mornings or days, wherever you guys are. And as always, have a good one. Bye. Have a good one.